flyprovoairport.com. That's flyprovoairport.com.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Jim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. I want to tell you about our famous "You Don't Need a Warranty" warranty. That's right. It's a warranty you don't need, but we give it to you anyway. Let me explain. Most warranty problems for siding, gutters, and windows are caused by not installing stuff right in the first place. If you rush the work, cut corners, or use subpar materials, you're just begging for problems later. At RGS Exteriors, we don't tolerate careless workmanship. We slow down, focus on every detail, and use only the best materials. We prevent warranty work by doing the job right in the first place. That's why the 10-year everything guarantee we give you is also known as our "You Don't Need a Warranty" warranty. We absolutely will be there if you need to use it. But honestly, you probably will never have to. Done right the first time. That's the RGS way. For siding, gutters, and windows, call 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsexteriors.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Is it calm out there, Heather Kelly?
It is mostly calm, but we're still dealing with some delays for Utah County drivers on 2100 North in Lehigh and Pioneer Crossing. There's also a crash on the ramp from Pioneer Crossing to head southbound I-15 in American Fork, adding to the delays you have in that area. And a crash northbound I-15 just before you get to 146 South exit in Bluffdale. That one's over on the left shoulder, causing a few brake lights. But everybody else, for the most part, is at freeway speeds. Grass drinks up a lot of water, but WaterWise Landscaping thrives by using less. Visit slowtheflow.org to learn how to replace your grass and earn cash incentives. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today, one of the warmer days this week, highs in the lower 80s. It'll start raining tonight, though, continue into tomorrow and the weekend. Right now, though, 61 degrees and partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Inside Sources. I'm Greg Skordas, and today I'm alongside Mara Carabello, who joined me last week.
Yeah,
Thanks
it's nice
for
to be back.
being here again.
2 weeks in a row.
There you go. And we had fun last week, and I think we have an interesting program today, except you started me on a bad note today because we started talking about candies that really haunted us. And so now I've got circus peanuts and candy corn in my...
Well, you just wait. We're going to do more of this.
Yeah,
We're going to do
so
a deep dive
I'm
into...
starting the morning green a little bit today. Speaking of green, did you ever have the measles?
You know, I didn't, but measles hits home with me. I'll start this segment out with a personal story. My oldest brother, the first kid in our family, was born in 1964. The reason that date is interesting is it's the year that the measles vaccine came out.
Okay.
So my mom was pregnant prior to the measles coming out. She had the German measles for one day during her pregnancy. She didn't even feel very sick. She went on. My brother is profoundly disabled because she had the measles when he was born. He has lived. They said he wouldn't live to be 2. Then they said he wouldn't live to be 12. He's
60 something.
He just turned 60, but he is really profoundly disabled.
Wow.
We're lucky to have a family that helps us care for him. So the measles had an impact when my mom was pregnant with my brother.
I had no idea. So I was born in 57, so in 64, I think we all got the MMR shot.
That's
measles,
right, yeah.
mumps, and
And
rubella.
rubella.
And that's why a lot of us were spared the measles. However, measles have been on the rise in southern Utah. Some officials are worried that it's going to get worse. Apparently, we've had 53 new cases in Utah since the start of the year. One on a vaccinated person, the other 52 were unvaccinated. So that tells you what you need to know about vaccinations. Although there is some pushback to that. Let's talk with Director of Communications of the Salt Lake County Health Department, Nicholas Rupp, who's joining us this morning. Nicholas, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So tell us what's going on right now in the state of Utah as it relates to measles, and is there reason to be worried?
So as you said, we have 53 cases statewide as of yesterday, most of them in the southwest corner of the state. And if you are unvaccinated, yes, you should be a little worried because we expect we will have additional cases among unvaccinated people. If you are up to date and vaccinated with your MMR, you really don't need to worry because the MMR vaccine is incredibly effective, 97% effective at preventing infection, and very safe as well. So if you're not vaccinated, get vaccinated. That's the message.
Does the protection happen right away? You go into your doctor, you get your MMR vaccine, and within the next week, you have a level of protection?
You do have a level of protection within a week, and you're considered fully protected after 2 weeks. It takes your body about 2 weeks to fully build that immunity from the vaccine.
So when you say it's more prevalent in the southwest corner of the state, you're talking about like Washington, Iron counties, St. George, that area?
Yes, the Southwest Utah Public Health District. It's 5-county district in that southwestern quadrant of the state.
Do you have any reason why that would be particularly? I mean, I guess I might have expected the southeast corner, but not that portion of the state.
So the Southwest Public Health District does have a slightly lower MMR vaccination rate than many other areas of the state. And as you said, we are seeing the spread almost entirely within unvaccinated people. So that's likely why that's the area of the state that is experiencing more illness.
So, Nicholas, can you help me compare this year over year? Is this so? Maybe I'm just reading the news more about this year, but I feel like this is sort of big, scary a little bit. And I'm thinking, holy cow, I thought we had wrapped our arms around measles, and this 53 cases feels big to me. Is historically this big? Is this on average? Is this higher than normal for this time of year?
This is not normal at all. You are absolutely right. This is big. This is bad. This is kind of unprecedented in Utah. This is an illness that we declared eradicated domestically 25 years ago. When I started working in public health 15 years ago, we did not worry about measles being in the United States. It didn't exist. The only time we worried about measles was when someone traveled internationally to an area of the world where it had not been eradicated and they were unvaccinated. They might bring it home. So that's when public health was worried. But now we're seeing it spread locally. We're seeing it spread domestically in the United States. And again, almost entirely among unvaccinated people. So a decrease in MMR rates over the last 10 to 15 years has really led to measles getting a foothold again in our country.
Were you here at the beginning of the segment, Nicholas, when Mara was telling us about her own personal experience with her family? And is that something that gives us a reason why this vaccination is so important?
Yes, absolutely. Tragically, 1 in 5 unvaccinated people who get measles will end up hospitalized. 1 in 20 unvaccinated children who get measles will end up with pneumonia, and 1 in 1,000 children will develop encephalitis, which is swelling of the brain, and that's what can lead to intellectual disabilities or leave a child deaf. And about 1 to 3 of every 1,000 unvaccinated children with measles will pass away.
So
really tragic.
What? How do I know I have the measles? If what are the symptoms? What are the signs?
So the first symptom of measles is usually very flu-like, cold-like. You'll have a fever, a cough, runny nose, and then something that's a little unique with measles is you'll have red, watery eyes or conjunctivitis. 2 to 3 days after those symptoms begin, you may get tiny white spots inside your mouth, and 3 to 5 days after those initial cold-like symptoms, you'll get that telltale measles rash, those flat red spots. They generally start on the face at the hairline and then spread down the body. So you don't always know you have measles until that telltale rash on day 3 to 5. And so those cold-like symptoms for those first 2 to 3 days, you are still infectious. That's one reason that measles is so dangerous, is that you think you have a little head cold and you really have measles and you're out infecting people, exposing people. And measles is extraordinarily contagious. It is one of the most contagious illnesses we know.
And so the carrier can be infectious for, even a week, spreading these germs before they might fully know what's going on.
Absolutely. That's why if you have symptoms of illness at all, please stay home. If you think you just have a head cold, stay home. We don't want to infect anybody with anything, but especially not with something as serious as measles.
Nicholas, we've got about a minute left, but I just had my 5th or 6th COVID shot and my umpteenth flu shot, but I think I only had one MMR shot. Is it something that an individual my age, and I'm on Social Security, it should revisit again, or is it something that you'd expect to last a lifetime?
So if you were vaccinated after 1967, one dose as an adult is sufficient. If you were vaccinated with the early version of the MMR from 1964 to 1967, you do need an updated dose in modern times. Children should have 2 MMRs, one at 12 months and one at 4 to 6 years. So it kind of depends on your age, but generally speaking, if you're an adult and you've had one measles vaccine in relatively recent years, you're fine.
Nicholas, we only have 1 minute. We have just a quick, tell me where the best place I should go if I'm interested in getting an MMR vaccine.
So Salt Lake County Health Department immunization clinics have plenty of MMR in stock. We're at saltlakehealth.org/EMS. You'll see all our locations. We will bill your insurance. And then MMR is available at pretty much every pharmacy and doctor's office in the state. It is widely available.
Thanks for talking to us. That was Nicholas Rump, Director of Communications for the Salt Lake County Health Department. Great local segment to kick off. But Greg, we're going to take advantage, as always, that you are not only a great host, but you have a great legal mind. Next segment, we're going to jump into the Supreme Court here,
which just started its session. We'll be right back.
These Cougars are rolling.
Parker Kingston has the first down and more.
Rocking and rolling.
He's going to go 20, 10, touchdown!
The nationally ranked BYU Cougars put their undefeated record on the line Saturday against Arizona.
It's a 2-touchdown quarter.
Listen to Cougar Tracks all this week from 6:30 to 7. And catch every play on Saturday on Utah's legacy home of the Cougars.
It's game time, yeah, we on the way.
KSL News Radio.
Man, sometimes a deal is so good that they decide to extend it because they want more people to have an opportunity. That's what Bedrock Quartz is doing with their employee pricing deal.
They are extending it through the month of October, so you pay what an employee would pay, and you can get your new kitchen or your new bathroom done before the holidays.
The only limit is your imagination. They have over 100 different options for countertops, including quartz, quartzite, granite, marble. They can do bathrooms. What can't they do? They do backsplashes.
And their attention to detail is extraordinary. Andy and I went to their facility in West Jordan where they cut the marble and the quartz, and just to see how meticulous they were with cutting that stone, not to mention the installation process.
Yeah, they do 35 kitchens every day, so they're experienced, they're proficient, and they'll work with you. Whatever you want, they can take care of.
They've got showrooms all over the place in West Jordan, Layton, Murray, Park City, Sandy, Pleasant Grove, Spanish Fork, St. George, and Salt Lake City, but
you can also go to bedrockquartz.com.
Attention RV owners or RV wannabe owners. It's the used RV blowout sale. RVs from all over the Intermountain West have been sent to Provo Town Center for this RV liquidation event. Repos, buybacks, rental returns, and trade-ins. Blowout pricing. Every RV has been inspected and serviced and ready to go. Free admission, free parking, dealers welcome. The used RV blowout sale. This Wednesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to dusk. Go to UtahRVEvent.com. Sponsored by Paris RV, Provo Town Center, 1200 Town Center Boulevard, Provo. Paris RV is your locally owned, family-run RV dealership. We strive hard to find the very best RVs for the price. With 4 locations, over 1,000 RVs in stock, 42 service bays, and 4 super parts stores. We're sure to help take your family on the best RV vacation. Check out our perfect family bunkhouse trailer, the 26BH. That sleeps 9 for $19,995 or $227 a month. Zero down. Life is short. Enjoy it. North Murray, South Murray, Payson, and Pocatello. ParisRV.com.
Hey, this is Dan, the laptop man from PC Laptops. Imagine struggling with a slow, outdated computer that takes forever to load anything.
that randomly freezes up and is filled with viruses and malware.
Now picture yourself with a powerful desktop or laptop that runs smoothly and efficiently, making your work and entertainment seamless. Take one home today. The new 2025 S1 desktop or SM3 laptop for only $999. You heard that right, $999. You get a blazing fast processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over a terabyte of blazing storage for $999. What else do you get? Lifetime service warranty, and we have 12 months special financing on approved credit. Hurry in right now because supplies are limited, because at PC Laptops, we love you. Just check us out at PCLaptops.com. $999, PCLaptops.com.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with a Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Inside Sources.
Welcome back to Inside Sources. I'm alongside Mara Carabello today, and we are talking about this United States Supreme Court. SCOTUS started its session, I think yesterday, started with some arguments, and there have been a lot of talk about what's going to happen this year and kind of where they're going.
Right. What's amazing, I'm just going to point out the obvious, but every case in front of the Supreme Court matters, right? Some are more technical, some are more, flashy, but by definition, they are the supreme ruling, and everything is designed to be pivotal, and that's what makes it so interesting.
Right, and for a case to even get to the Supreme Court means that it's been vetted through a number of, you have to go through the trial court, you have to go to the courts of appeals. If you go through the state system, you have to go through the state Supreme Courts usually, and the Supreme Court of the United States just doesn't take every case, obviously.
So I have a big question, or a broad question. I was reading through the docket, briefings, and there are two cases that involved ExxonMobil. Is it unusual that one specific company has, they're very different cases. Is it just coincidence that they both involve one company?
Yes, I would say that's the case. That was unusual, and
Okay.
They're completely different issues, but they both winded their way up to the Supreme Court, and that's highly unusual, but not problematic at
You're
all.
right. I didn't think, but it is a coincidence
Yeah.
that they're going to be busy this year.
Given that we just have a fairly limited list, you wouldn't expect two having the same name unless that name was Trump.
Right.
Because there are a lot of things going on with the Supreme Court that deal with executive orders, that deal with the potential, or at least the look-see of whether there's been a presidential overreach, and that's something that we're dealing with a lot. Now, there are two cases, Mara, that I want to mention that are not at the Supreme Court yet, but could very well be. And one of those, we all expected birthright citizenship to be on the docket for the Supreme Court, but it's not. And of course, that involves the Trump administration's attempt through executive order to do away with birthright citizenship, based on the fact that so much has changed since that was enacted as the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution, which basically, which says all people born in the United States are citizens of the United States.
Right.
Pretty clear. But I think the executive branch is saying, well, that the framers and the people that enacted that at the time, wasn't the framers, obviously, it was an amendment, but that people really weren't expecting that to mean people who just happen to be entering the country illegally and happen to have a baby here, suddenly that child becomes...
But that would be a new interpretation.
Absolutely.
It would be historically new.
Right, and I don't know that the Supreme Court's going to get there, but right now it's not even on the docket. Another one that I expected to be on the docket, which is not, involves what we're talking about. And the reason this one's maybe not, it hasn't gone through the system yet, but we've had cases in California, in Oregon, and in Illinois about the president sending National Guard troops into cities in apparent violation of what we call the Posse Comitatus Act, which is federal troops are not local law enforcement. And there shouldn't be that mixture. Those cases have not worked their way up to the Supreme Court. They may in the future, but right now, birthright citizenship and troop deployment into cities are not on the docket, but there's certainly a big list of others.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me if you look at the current docket. It's I won't get the exact count right, but 15, 16 cases that they've noticed up, and almost half of them have to do with executive powers.
Yep.
And I feel like our listeners will say, yes, that seems, whether you're for or against any individual issue, this is certainly an era in which the presidency, the executive branch, is unprecedentedly testing the powers of that branch of government.
Right. And if you recall, Mara, it happened under the Biden administration in one notable case, and that was student loan forgiveness, where the issue was, okay, the president issues an executive order, I'm going to forgive student loans, and the cases come flowing down saying you don't have the authority to do that. Trump has issued executive orders. I mean, right out of the chute, he was signing them the day he was inaugurated. And so those are all being challenged because we rely on Congress. We rely on our legislative leaders to pass laws, not for the administration, for the president to issue an order just unilaterally or just changing something. But we do give the president great authority in the case of national emergency or in the case of insurrection, say, in case of something.
Extraordinary moments.
Yeah, where he can do that. And so he's used that power, some would say abused it, in issuing a lot of executive orders that are going to be challenged and are being challenged.
To give a taste of that, they'll be looking at the Trump tariffs, whether it's a major test on one of the boldest assertions of executive power that's been central to Trump's economic and trade agenda, the firing of the Fed officials as well as the firing of the Trade Commission, so looking at what the scope and purview is in that instance. I mean, those are just a couple of examples.
Yeah, and so tariffs, let's break those down a little bit. Tariffs, you expect we have Congress that is given the power of the purse. And so when you talk about tariffs, you're talking about taxation, you're talking about raising money, you're talking about doing the things that have historically been the province of Congress, not the president.
Yeah.
And so suddenly he's issuing tariffs, and people are going, well, doesn't Congress have anything to do with that? Shouldn't they be involved in that process? He's saying, well, there's an emergency going on. You know, our budget crisis is an emergency. Our global trade deficit is an emergency, and somebody's got to do something about it, so I'm going to impose tariffs.
And something I think is really important when following, whether it's the lower courts or the Supreme Court, as someone who loves public policy, I always have to remind myself that the case is about the law, not necessarily the issue itself. So whether I'm passionate for or against, the point is, do you want to set a precedent about who makes what decision? So, I mean, I think we've grown into the habit of being for or against it based on our political or our public policy point of view on the subject matter. But rather, the way to look at the court is to say, how well is the law defined and how well will it keep and protect me as a citizen going forward?
No, that's brilliant. And it was the same way with student loan forgiveness. Whether you like it or not, the question is, did the president have the authority to do that? And in that case, it was not. That was really well said, Mara. The Supreme Court's not going to decide whether these tariffs are good or bad, or whether, hey, 25% is more than you should have. That's not their job. What they're going to decide is whether or not Trump overstepped his authority by imposing these tariffs, and whether or not there was truly a federal emergency in place, because that's when he can do that, or whether or not he overstepped what Congress should have done and didn't give them the chance to do it themselves.
Right, that's right. There are a couple of hot social issues coming up that actually Utah has grappled with and put into local law on these issues. One is the issue of transgendered sports participation. Another one that Utah has dealt with actually is what's called gay conversion therapy. Conversion therapy is an issue that our state legislature has dealt with.
Right, and that's actually one that was argued yesterday. The Supreme Court heard arguments on that exact issue. That was a Colorado law which outlawed gay conversion therapy, and a provider, a therapist, came in and said, "You're taking away my First Amendment right to counsel people, to talk to people, to share my thoughts." Of course, the state of Colorado said, "Well, you're practicing medicine. You know, it's a
professional standard.
It's a professional thing, and we have studies that show that type of therapy has caused harm, that people have hurt themselves, have committed suicide, it's harmful." And so the issue became, what right does the state have to impose that type of therapy if in fact it does infringe on a therapist's right to talk to?
Right.
And that's what she said. The therapist is like, "Hey, I'm just exercising my First Amendment right." Somebody comes in and says, "Hey, I feel like I'm gay and my church doesn't like it. Is there something I can do about it?" And that's really what it was about. It's a Christian-based argument about, hey,
is it her speech or is it a professional standard
exactly
regulation?
Right? And that one, who knows how that's going to come down? But it seemed like the court was, from what we're hearing about their arguments, was not crazy about the Colorado law.
Right. So, Greg, I'm interested in your take on a gun law that's coming up. We don't always have gun laws. Hawaii has an interesting case. I'm going to oversimplify it and say it pits private property rights against gun rights, against the Second Amendment. Right?
Yeah, it was an interesting law that said this: if you have a concealed carry, you have to get if you enter private property, you have to get the owner's permission to carry your gun.
Right.
So, in other words, somebody comes over to my house for dinner and they've got a gun. They have to say, "Hey, Skordas, I got a gun. Is it all right if I come on?" But that's not the best example. But
or
really,
rather, I have a private business and
right,
I post a sign that says, "I don't allow guns in my private business."
Can you do that? And that's a Second Amendment issue.
I think this one's so interesting because it's equal right. So we value our private property rights, the rights to do what we want in our space. And the Second Amendment is also, as it's defined currently,
I know.
As an individual right, is also a very strident. I mean, people will double down behind
two
that
incredibly important rights that are at conflict on that particular case. So that one will be very interesting. But that's,
and this
that's
again will be what they choose to judge on, right? When you're listening, it's not going to be, are you for or against gun laws? Are you for or against private property? It will be in the drafting and the artistry around what they're ruling on.
Exactly. That one will be fun to look at. We have so many more, but we may get to those later. Yeah. But when we come back on Inside Sources, Utah Democrats may be eyeing some House bids as the newest congressional maps go in front of the courts. We're going to talk to Utah Democratic Chairman Brian King about that next.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour, it's day 9 of the government shutdown, and lawmakers still appear divided on how and when to solve the funding crisis.
Republicans are saying that Democrats need to reopen the government, vote on that temporary funding bill, and then they can talk about any of the issues, including health care, that Democrats are pushing for. But Democrats, on the other hand, argue that they're not going to take a verbal promise from Republicans that they need to have good faith negotiations right now on health care, especially extending those Obamacare subsidies that are set to expire later this year.
ABC's Selena Wang reporting. Here in Utah, 2 different storm systems will move into the state over the next few days, and today there are flash flood concerns in different canyons in central and southern Utah. KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff has more.
The National Weather Service says most of the parks and recreation areas across the bottom half of the state are expected to have at least some flash flooding in the next 3 days. The highest risk areas are slot canyons, normally dry washes, and recent burn scars. People are cautioned to avoid these areas and watch forecasts for areas above these places, and people living in the areas are told to be prepared and to have a plan if flooding should develop. Don Brinkerhoff, KSL News Radio.
Moab is preparing for the worst this weekend with an incoming storm. The town has several 24-hour sandbag filling locations open just in case of a flood. The Moab's Public City Works Yard and Grand County Roads Department are also offering sand starting this morning. Your money at this moment, the Dow down 182 points to 46,420. Coming up, warm today, not so much tomorrow or into the weekend. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
I'm Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. This week is a hot tub shopper's dream. Shop multiple brands all under one roof. Home show specials, all at the Fall Home Show this weekend at the Mountain America Expo Center in Sandy. One of the best ways to see and feel the difference an Arctic Spa can make for you is to compare with other brands. You'll be able to see that other brands don't have the automatic natural salt water, automatic pH control like the Arctic Spa. You'll be able to feel the comfort of our multi-level seats and adjustable headrests. You'll be able to feel the power of our massaging jets versus other brands. You'll be able to see our hybrid heating system with free heat, cutting your electric bill in half versus other brands. Mention this ad to double your warranty for up to 10 years of worry-free ownership for free. Come see Arctic Spas and all other brands at the Fall Home Show this weekend at the Mountain America Expo Center in Sandy. To preview the home show deals, check out arcticspasutah.com or stop by one of our 3 stores covering all of Utah in Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George. Arctic Spa, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
Don't say it. Don't say it's bigger than you. It's not. One person can make a difference, and Rescue Mission of Salt Lake can show you how. Winter is here, yet over 500 people every night remain unsheltered in Utah, sleeping in parks, vacant lots, or wherever they can lay their head and find rest. Is that bigger than you? Now when Rescue Mission of Salt Lake is here to help. The journey of healing often begins with simple things: a meal, a good night's sleep, a warm greeting. Sponsor a meal for just over $1 or a night of shelter for $7. As a privately funded faith-based organization, the Rescue Mission does not receive federal, state, or city funding. They're supported through your tax-deductible contributions. One person, that's right, you can make a difference and change a life today by saying you'll be part of the solution. RescueSaltLake.org is where you start. It's not bigger than you because you can make a difference. RescueSaltLake.org.
Protect your home and auto by bundling them with Progressive, and you'll have a little less to worry about. But we know you'll find other things to worry about. Like that text you just got from your boss. Hey, call me when you get a sec. Hey, call me when you get a sec. Hey, call me when you get a sec. Oh, hey, call me when you get a sec. Yeah, this is bad. Oh, well, at least you protected your home and auto with Progressive, so you don't have to worry about that. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With the Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, all of our earlier accidents have cleared, and with them, most of the delays. Still a few brake lights showing up, though, northbound I-15, right around 123rd South in Draper. And also, if you are I-80 eastbound moving between Kimball Junction and the US 40 turnoff, that right lane is still backed up through most of that stretch. That's pretty typical this time of the morning. Other than that, things look good throughout Weber, Davis, Salt Lake, and Utah counties. The Utah Snowmobile Show is this Friday and Saturday at its new location at Western Sports Park in Farmington. The Utah Snowmobile Show this Friday and Saturday. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today might be the last day of 80 degrees or higher that we see this year, maybe. 82 the high predicted. But it'll start raining tonight and continue into tomorrow and the weekend as temps dip through the weekend. Right now, it's 66 degrees and partly cloudy in Salt Lake. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
You're back with us on Inside Sources. I'm alongside Mara Carabello. And Mara, Monday, the legislature met in special session. That morning early at 8 o'clock, there was a select group that had considered the congressional maps that were being brought out as a response to a lawsuit that had been filed. They voted on what they called Map C. They they sent that to the general body, which was voted on in minutes, and I think that's the map that is now going before the judge.
That's right.
It took like an hour for the plaintiffs in that lawsuit to file their third amended lawsuit. So the case is not over yet. The plaintiffs in the lawsuit, who I guess you could say prevailed to the point where the judge ordered the legislature to revisit the maps.
Which they did under duress, but
Right.
nonetheless
And
they
protest,
did it.
right, yes.
They protested, but they brought forth several options, again, eventually choosing what they've come to call Map C. They had a short timeline, so therefore they had a short public comment period where we were allowed for about a week and a half to also issue our opinions. You have Scott Sandel in the Senate and Candace Perucci in the House that were leading those efforts, in which they said they individually went through all, I want to say there was about 4,500 comments. They went through them all, they said, and took those into consideration when they proffered Map C.
So we've got with us this morning Brian King, the Democratic Party chair, who luckily also happens to be a very skilled lawyer, to break down where we are here. Brian, thanks for joining us this morning.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm honored to be considered an inside source, guys.
There you go. Right. You are in every way. So tell us where we sit with this, and did we get it right so far?
Yeah, well, you've outlined it well. I think it now goes back to Judge Gibson, Diana Gibson, who is the district court judge, for a final ruling from her as to whether she accepts Map C, which is what the legislature complainingly, but nevertheless presented to her as their choice to comply with her order from back in August, or whether she says this does not comply with what I have required and what Proposition 4 and the Supreme Court decision from last summer requires. And so I'm going to have one of the plaintiffs' maps so that I pick is more reflective of what needs to be put in place, or something else. I mean, she has some options of her own. She has a broad amount of discretion on this. So we're just waiting for that. I think there's going to be a hearing week after next, and hopefully we'll get a ruling quickly. The real challenge here is there's some strict timeframes that have to be met. I think the lieutenant governor has said there has to be a final decision made that she can use as a basis to, start the process of making sure that what we have in place for 2026 in terms of maps is written up and distributed to the county clerks, yada, yada, yada. There's a lot of work that goes into that.
So, Brian, this is sort of a fascinating time from a political science perspective. Lots of roles at the table. I would love to know the party's perspective on where you can most impact the process. I mean, the Democrats elected to the House and Senate proffered what I'm going to call a Democratic choice in that process, which was not the one chosen. But also, as you suggest, you're the one that's going to be left with the results of who's on the ballot according to which jurisdictional map. So with your hat on as the Democratic Party chair, where are you looking to make the most impact from a party perspective?
Well, let me say this. Map C, the one that the legislature chose and forwarded to Judge Gibson, is an improvement over the maps that we had in 2024 based on the redistricting in 2021. So I'm happy, as the chair of the party, that we've got something that moves us more in the direction of fair representation than what is in place based on the maps that are currently sitting in Utah. So we're moving in the right direction. I view this as an opportunity for Utahns to have a fair shot at electing people that fairly represent their values and their priorities. We haven't had that in the past. We're moving closer to it with Map C. Whether Judge Gibson chooses Map C or not, I'm happy that we are seeing effort to, even under duress by the legislature, nevertheless, a recognition that they have to comply with the court order, and that we are seeing the people's will as Proposition 4 brought into place. And here's the thing, you ask what the opportunity is for us as Democrats. When you have more competitive seats, Mara, as you know, you get better candidates. You get candidates who are really highly qualified to step up and say, well, I wouldn't have considered running in a race that I was certain to lose, but this race in this particular district with those particular boundaries, I can have a shot at more reasonably. I think 2026 is going to be a wave election that favors Democrats. We're seeing a lot of things coming out of the White House and out of our state leadership that people really don't like, that are not addressing the problems that they have in their day-to-day lives. So it's an opportunity, is what it amounts to have really high-quality Democratic candidates step up, make their case to the people of Utah about why they should be elected, and hopefully we'll see some Democrats elected in these national offices.
Okay, so Brian, I'm going to take you up on being an inside source here. So one of the challenges with challenging an incumbent is always money. Do you have the funds to get your message out there? I saw a rare statement earlier this week from what I would call the DCCC, which is the Democratic Congressional Committee. I'm missing a C.
Missed a C.
Democratic Congressional something Committee.
Campaign Committee.
Campaign Committee, thanks. And they are who rank who the hot races are, who can get some national support. And I saw them put out a statement that was pretty sanguine about Utah. What's the early buzz you're hearing from the national Democrats about how interested they would be in funding a Democratic race in Utah?
I talked to Ken Martin about this, the chair of the DNC, just the other day, and I said, Chair Martin, I think we're going to have one seat that's competitive here with these new maps. And he said, 1 seat? Dude, you're going to have 2 seats. So there's no doubt they're focused on this. They're looking at it. There just aren't that many seats in the 435-member House of Representatives in Congress that are competitive. Gerrymandering and siloing of communications and messaging have really, caused us to be polarized into red and blue camps all across the country. And when you look at seats that are really swing and that can change hands, it's no more than 2 or 3 dozen seats in the entire country based on past performance. And so the DNC and the DCCC, these groups that in the past have not paid much attention to Utah, I don't think there's any question that if we get those new maps, if we get even Map C, which isn't the map that I think Map C is about as favorable to Republicans as anything that they considered, but even that map, I think, fairly puts into play at least a couple of seats to be competitive for Democrats.
Thanks, Brian. That was Brian King, Democratic Party Chair, who's always available to us. And there were so many things we needed to get to with him.
Right.
I think you and I can revisit those later, not the least of which is, well, where do we go? Are there some viable candidates out there? And are there more than one district that's available here? When we come back, August saw a record number of home buyers backing out on property purchases. We're going to talk about why next. That's coming up, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by @YourServicePros.
I'm Jordan Wilcox, your Utah tax attorney. When life gets overwhelming, some things tend to fall by the side.
I'm Carlos Sanchez from Draper, Utah. I was managing a business, helping out a business, doing paperwork and getting paid, and my wife got sick. We filed taxes, but then we got audited. And when I went and talked to the IRS, they didn't give me any choice. The IRS pretty much said, this is what you owe us, when are you gonna pay us? And we're talking quite a bit. But every time I drive, I listen to the radio. Jordan Wilcox. So I figure there's a reason these guys on the radio. So I called them.
Put an end to IRS collection and aggression today.
The amount that the IRS came up with, close to $250,000, and the offer and compromise was about $7,600. That's it.
This is Utah Tax Attorney Jordan Wilcox. Let's solve your IRS nightmare. Visit endtaxworry.com.
Go for it. The outcome, it was worth it. I'm okay.
endtaxworry.com.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Utah can count on.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With the Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and there's a good chance you've heard me talking about our free furnace sale. The one where you buy a new air conditioner and we give you a new furnace for just the cost to install it, about $400. Well, we still have a few more spots on our schedule we need to fill, so I'm extending the sale, but I'm not quite sure for how much longer. Definitely no later than the end of October. And once I think our schedule's full enough, I got to pull these ads. So don't wait too long to call and schedule your free estimate. The main reason we do this sale is to give you an incentive to help us keep our guys busy when the weather's mild. And thanks to your help, we're able to keep our guys and keep growing. So if your furnace and air conditioner are ready to be replaced, you owe it to yourself to at least schedule a free estimate and get all the details about our free furnace sale. Just to recap, when you have Any Hour Services install a new air conditioner, we'll give you a new furnace for just the cost to install it. About $400. The furnace is free, you just pay the labor. If you think you might be interested, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Does it feel like someone stabbing a knife into your heel, or does your lower back pain get worse as the day goes on? The Good Feet store wants to help you like we helped Ann.
Every time I stood up, pain just shot up my legs. Fortunately, I found the Good Feet store. I went to them after my doctor diagnosed me with plantar fasciitis. And now, thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm 100% pain-free.
Wouldn't it be nice to get back to doing what you love, like Patrick did?
I was in constant pain. Somehow my fiance and I found our way into the Good Feet store. Put my foot on the arch support system, I put them in my shoes, walked out of the store. All the pain was gone. My back, my knees, my ankles. Thank you. Thank you, everybody at the Good Feet store. You gave me my active life back.
Come in and get your free personalized fitting at the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you and schedule an appointment at goodfeet.com.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. Beware of telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you. Callers threatening you with arrest or other legal action and demanding money are not from us. If you receive a call like this, hang up, do not provide them with any form of payment or information. Report the call at oig.ssa.gov.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for about 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop texts, stopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
And expanded Inside Sources.
Welcome back to Inside Sources. Remember, you can stream us on KSL News Radio app and sponsored by... Wait a minute. You can stream us on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros. So, Mara, we've learned that in the last month, in August of this year, 56,000 home purchases were canceled by buyers, I think. Experts are suggesting, and this was a report by Redfin, that it may be the result of economic instability, skittish buyers, who knows what's going on, but people are getting nervous about the home purchase. That's a huge number
of
buyers
enormous number.
Getting scared about jumping in, buying a home.
Anecdotally, my neighbor, who was a real estate agent, was selling her own home, and she told me that she had 4 purchases fall through just from skittishness, as she described it. It wasn't a glitch. It wasn't an inspection issue. It was just they got cold feet on the buy, and so they finally did sell their home, but it took a lot longer because of this nervousness about the buyer.
And I keep seeing home prices in our area being dropped,
down.
$10,000, $15,000, reduction in price, trying to get these buyers to jump back in. Well, luckily we have with us Russell Fawcett, principal broker and co-founder of Omada Real Estate. Russell, thanks for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thank you.
So are you familiar with this study, and do you have any comment on why it would be that we're having so many buyers back out all of a sudden?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different reasons, but I would say like your number one reason, honestly, is there's more options. And so every time that we see inventory go up, we have this thing where buyers will put a home under contract, but they'll keep looking. You know, they're kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out of like, yes, I'm going to go ahead and tie up this property, but I'm going to continue to look. And if something else comes up, then they're jumping. So I would say that's kind of the first one versus when it was very low inventory, it was competition. It was like, I just want to buy a house no matter what. And so people were hanging into those contracts. So every time we see inventory go up, we also in correlation will see the cancellation of contracts go up as well.
So, okay. Go ahead, Russell.
Oh, I was just going to say the next one that I think really plays into it is kind of the market we're facing right now is we do have a lot of sellers that are willing to sell, you know, as long as they net a certain amount. So they don't necessarily have to sell. They would like to sell, but, you know, they put it on the market and maybe a buyer's asking for too many concessions or too many repairs. And so a buyer, you know, after their inspection might come in and say, hey, I want you to take care of X, Y, and Z. And the seller's just like, no, I'm not willing to do that. You know, and so then the buyer cancels because, again, they have options and they're willing to cancel the contract and keep shopping because homes aren't going under contract in certain price ranges, you know, in days or hours like they did a couple of years ago.
So if I'm someone who's been thinking for a while about buying a house and I listen to this story, what's your advice or philosophy? Is it headed into fall, headed into winter? Is it a good time to be looking to buy a house in Utah?
Yeah, so right now for buyers is a great time because competition does go down. And so we still have the inventory of kind of the summer months, but especially this month is one of the best times to be buying because you have a lot of options, but you do have less competition. This time of year, fourth quarter, it definitely slows down the number of people shopping. And so as a buyer, you can go in and, you know, ask for a little bit more than, say, during springtime when everyone's out there looking to buy.
So, Russell, I'm a lawyer, but I'm not a contract lawyer, and I'm not a real estate lawyer. But I think of people, you sign a uniform real estate contract, I want to buy your house, and then buyers are backing out. Some sellers are apparently too. I mean, do these contracts just have so many provisions, sort of bailout options, that it's not hard to get out of a contract? Because I just think a contract's a contract.
Right. So the contracts in Utah are very, very, very buyer friendly. And so, you know, as kind of that standard real estate purchase contract, you have a couple deadlines. You have the seller disclosure deadline, then you have your due diligence deadline, then you have your finance and appraisal deadline, and then you have your settlement deadline. And so, you know, in order to go under contract, you do have to give what, you know, consideration. So you can go under contract for as little as $1. Typically, you see about 1% of the purchase price, though, is what people will put as earnest money. But you can cancel prior. Most of the time, the earnest money is fully refundable until that finance and appraisal deadline. And so the due diligence deadline, really a buyer can cancel for any reason. You know, there are items that's listed out of the buyers to do all of their due diligence, but it could be they end up not liking the traffic. They end up, you know, they don't like the color of the lawn. Like, it really is your get out of jail free card of you can cancel pretty much for any reason and get all of your earnest money back. And then the other one, the finance and appraisal deadline, a lot of buyers end up using this one as well because the way the contract reads, it says if the buyer doesn't like the terms of the loan. And so it's not necessarily they weren't approved for it. The buyer can cancel under the financing deadline if they don't like the terms of the loan. And so it does, again, kind of give a buyer an opportunity to really cancel. And we see typical due diligence deadline is 10 to 14 days. Normal financing is about 21 to 30 days. And so the buyers do have weeks where they can cancel. And typically the only money they're out is their inspection and maybe an appraisal.
So the research I've been doing keeps pointing out in Utah that that the price of our homes aren't necessarily going down, that they're actually stabilizing. What we're seeing is a stabilization. How do you determine that prices aren't going down, they're not going up, they're stabilizing? Give me some more definition. As I look at the market, how will I know how, in general, our housing prices are doing?
Yeah, so a lot of that is, I'm going to say it's neighborhood specific. So like you guys alluded to, if you're seeing properties in your neighborhood, the prices are going down. So what we're actually seeing is our median household price is staying very consistent. It's actually going up just a little bit. But what you can buy, so, as the median price is somewhere right around the $550 mark, that continues to tick up a little bit. But what's changing is what you can buy for $550. So people are still spending the same amount, but you are able to buy more home than you were a year ago. And some of the numbers, though, that we look at, and, we look at we're a stable market, is that we have about 4 months supply of homes on the market right now. So less than 3 months, you're in a seller's market. More than 6 months, you're in a buyer's market. So we are in that kind of median. There's 4 months. We're right in kind of a balanced market, and we are seeing that where prices, even though they're coming down a little bit neighborhood by neighborhood, they are still fairly stable.
Russell, can I just ask you one more question in a minute that we have left? And that is this. When interest rates seemingly went down in the last week or two, did that affect buyers, or did that seem to give the market a little bit of a boost in terms of buyers being able to qualify for loans and get loans at more favorable rates?
Absolutely. So we had a 2-week period where they honestly dropped, where they were very favorable for the market right now. And we did see mortgage applications go up during that period. They have ticked up again. And so every time the interest rates do come down, we do see mortgage applications go up for sure.
Thanks. That was Russell Fawcett, principal broker and co-founder of Omada Real Estate. When we come back, the last congressional map had the city of Mill Creek actually split 4 ways. The new map will have it split 2 ways. We'll talk with Mill Creek Mayor Jeff Silvestrini next.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour, a large crowd gathered outside Ben Lomond High School last night to mourn and remember a 16-year-old boy who was shot and killed. 16-year-old Mason Caballero lost his life after he was shot near the school after classes let out on Tuesday. KSL TV spoke with Mason's older brother Jackson Payne at the vigil.
It's hard. It's so hard. I don't know what to do anymore. I loved that kid. But we'll get through it.
Payne says his brother had the biggest heart he ever knew. Police are still searching for the shooter. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, Israel and Hamas have agreed to pause in their 2-year war and the release of the remaining hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. But uncertainty remains about some of the other aspects of President Trump's peace plan. Those disagreements include how Hamas will disarm and who will govern Gaza. New numbers from the Utah Department of Health and Human Services show that there have been 53 Utahns diagnosed with measles this year. A majority of those cases are in the Southwest and affect unvaccinated individuals. Anyone with symptoms should stay away from others and contact their doctor. Your money at this moment, the Dow down 124 points this morning to 46,477. Coming up, enjoy the sun and warm temperatures. We got rain tomorrow. KSL weather's next, and we've got emergency traffic. KSL News Time, 10:01.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. The other night, I had the chance to see a brand new play
at Hale Center Theater. And it's the musical comedy Murders of 1940. And I'm just going to read what I wrote to Sally Dietlein right after I got out to my truck. I just had to let her know how much I enjoyed it. And I said, a black and white screwball film noir comedy complete with Nazis, you have outdone yourself. This is so unique. The entire play, save only one character, is in black and white. Sally wrote back and said, yeah, I think it's the first time we've ever done, and she used this term, grayscape. It is so unique. You are going to love it. And then just down the hall, Sister Act is showing, and all kinds of wonderful performances still to come, like Frozen. We've already got our tickets for our grandkids. Go to hct.org or get your tickets at the box office. And don't forget, get your 2026 season tickets.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment.
Visit mintmobile.com/radio.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay. Things people love.
The power of we believes in you. It advocates for you. It completes your circle. It makes sure you have the strongest circle possible. And with Intermountain Health in yours, you'll always have the care you need to live the healthiest life possible. That's the power of we. Intermountain Health.
If you're talking, they will hear you.
Why are we getting killed like this?
Kyle's not here. Got caught drinking beer in the park a couple of nights ago.
Really?
Yeah. 0 tolerance. He's out for the season.
Harsh.
Hey, he knew not to drink. We've made that clear to all of our kids, right?
No, not really.
Bill, if we don't tell them what we expect and why they shouldn't drink, how are they going to know?
Talk. They hear you. For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Emergency traffic on KSL News Radio, brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. What do we got, Heather?
Well, we've got a pretty bad crash southbound I-15 at Center Street in Orem. It's blocking 3 left lanes of the freeway, and that has traffic backed up all the way to 1600 North, right on the Linden-Orem border. So that's almost 3 miles of delay. That's not the only problem, though. If you are northbound I-15 in the Salt Lake Valley, we've got another multi-vehicle crash just before the 114th South exit in Draper. That's blocking 2 right lanes of the freeway. That has traffic backed up to Bangerter Highway. Advanced Window Products, $2,500 off 10 windows or more. AdvancedWindows.com, affordable windows guaranteed. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, we should get to 82 degrees today with more clouds moving in tonight. Then tomorrow the rain showers start and they'll stick around through Saturday. Right now it's partly cloudy and 70 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
I will turn on my mic. Welcome back. I'm alongside Mara Carabello today. We're talking about the news of the day, and one of the things that's come up as it relates to this redistricting, Mara, is that the city of Mill Creek, which, by the way, hasn't been a city for all that long.
I think we're talking to its very first mayor.
Yeah, its very first and only mayor so far. But it was the city that was at the sort of the focal point of the redistricting because it was divided actually 4 ways. All 4 congressional districts shared part of Mill Creek City, and if that was one of the reasons, actually one of the signs that that the maps were flawed. I mean, people just used Mill Creek as an example of, hey, wait a minute, you're not supposed to divide cities and counties, and you should try to keep groups together. That particular city was divided 4 ways.
That's right. And I mean, as you suggested, it was often used as an example of gerrymandering. The new map that is being proposed and reviewed by Judge Gibson now also divides Mill Creek. And so we thought, instead of speculating on what it must be like for those citizens in Mill Creek, we would go right to the man who represents and talks to more Mill Creek residents. So we're excited today to have the mayor of Mill Creek, Jeff Silverstrini, on the line with us. The mayor, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Mara and Greg. Nice to be with you.
So we'll get into what your citizens have been telling you, but what was your initial reaction to the newest map that's being proposed, which divides Mill Creek loosely in half?
So, it's still kind of a drag as a resident and a voter to be divided and, have our votes, in 2 different districts. As I've been quoted on KSL before, though, as in my capacity as a mayor, I have a different viewpoint on it than I might as a voter or a resident. And the reason for that is that more, doors that are open to a city to appeal to our congressional delegation, the more likely we are to hit home with a request. And frankly, there are some things where getting the support of the entire delegation makes a difference in grant funding when you're applying to like the National Park Service and things like that. And because we were in all 4 districts before, we could get 6 letters of support from our 4 Congress people and 2 senators. And as I've told people, we had more congressional representation in Mill Creek than 15 states. Like states like Nebraska don't have that many representatives. So anyway, it's a mixed blessing. Or mixed, I don't know, blessing is the right word, but it's a mixed thing. I know some of the plaintiffs in the lawsuit were from Mill Creek, and they felt disenfranchised because, there's no possibility of having a representative from the minority at this point party represent people who have that viewpoint. And Mill Creek is it's a blue-purple city, right? It's more blue than purple. All of our state representation is Democratic. So, people here feel like they aren't heard when they're split up that way.
Jeff, you talked about your role as a mayor and as a voter and as a resident, but a lot of people may not remember that you're also a lawyer. At least you were. You were a very good lawyer. Can you tell us, not your legal opinion, but just your legal thoughts about where the lawsuit sits right now and what's going to happen in the next couple weeks?
So I can't pretend to be a close student of that. I understand the reasoning that the court made with respect to honoring the will of the people in an initiative or referendum, and I honor that as well. From what I've seen, I don't know that the legislature followed the requirements of the proposition that was passed by the voters, even with this latest map. So it's vulnerable from that standpoint, but I will say too, it's a difficult job to do this apportionment, and because of the size of our population in Salt Lake County, our county has to be in 2 different districts just because it would be too big to be in one. So anyway, that's, I guess as a lawyer, I'm still concerned that there may not be compliance here with what the voters, chose. And I agree with the Supreme Court's opinion on that issue. I think that voters should choose their form of government, not the other way around.
So a lot of this conversation, the underlying thinking here is disenfranchisement, right? Like people not feeling connected to folks who represent them or being frustrated that politics is getting in the way. And then you have what I see as just a great form of government, which is local government. And Mill Creek is uniquely, we said at the top introduction that Mill Creek's a rather new city, although as a residential community, it's been around forever. But you all have done an extraordinary job. I'm not a Mill Creek resident, so this is just a passerby. You've done an extraordinary job creating community. You've built this beautiful new city center. You've activated it. If you haven't taken your kids down to either climb or ice skate or rollerblade, depending on the time of the year, you've conscientiously and has needed to build community. with that as a background and blending our topic of maps, how do you help your voters, regardless of which map, regardless of whether they have 2 representatives or more? What are your thoughts and tactics on making sure that people feel connected to those who represent them?
Well, a couple things here. It is true that that this map divides our community into 2 different congressional districts, and to the extent that our voice doesn't get heard, the way we might want it to be because of that split, by having a representative that reflects our views in Congress, that's unfortunate. What I would tell Mill Creek residents about this is that, kind of what you said, the government that affects people the most is the local level government, and what Congress does doesn't always affect us to the same extent. Maybe it's more distant. So there is consolation in that maybe, and I would just tell them that, I can point to the examples where Mill Creek has benefited from having 4 Congress people representing us. We got these aren't direct things, but getting letters of support from 6 people in Congress for a grant request to either FEMA, which we were successful in getting to help address a floodplain issue we have, or a National Parks grant to help complete Mill Creek Common to do phase 2. Those things might not have happened if we didn't have the ability to approach 4 congressional officers. And when you're represented by 1, the others, don't feel inclined to help someone who's not in their district. That some of them have even told me that they feel it might be a conflict of interest to support a project or a grant that isn't for their district. So, maybe that's a consolation prize, and maybe that's, my viewpoint of this as someone that's trying to do the best thing for my city and all of the residents of my city, no matter what district they're in. But I guess that's what I would tell people in terms of how this, works. And the line has to, as I mentioned, the line has to be drawn somewhere in Salt Lake County. I wish it wasn't Mill Creek, but if it is, that means we have 2 officers available to us rather than 1.
Thanks, Jeff. That was Mayor Jeff Silvestrini, mayor of Mill Creek, first and only mayor of Mill Creek. And it's odd. He did mention the fact that the city's being divided again in 2. The Republicans had claimed this map C only divided like 2 or 3 cities, right, because the idea behind Prop 4 and the judge's ruling was to keep cities together, keep counties together as much as possible. With some that was impossible. There were a couple cities like Draper and Bluffdale that sort of moved from Salt Lake into Utah County. There was one more down in south part of Utah County, maybe in Spanish Fork or Santaquin or something. But anyway, that sort of bordered Utah and Juab. Right. But Mill Creek, I don't even understand. We didn't even get into this with Jeff, why it would still be split. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, if you've done the math on these, they are incredibly complicated. Right. And where you take and give one, and partly because we are dense. We think of ourselves as not, but where we have density, we're one of the most urban states in the nation. We have a level of density that makes it hard to carve out. It is interesting, though. It does beg the question of what you would have sacrificed had you left all of cities whole. Why didn't they do that? I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt there on. And, this is the art that Judge Gibson, gerrymandering is in the eye of the beholder, right?
Yes.
It's a tricky.
Both sides want to do it in their own way. Hey, by the way, we may be seeing the end of the war in Gaza as Israel and Hamas enter into the first phase of a ceasefire. We're going to talk to an expert about that subject next. That's streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
Emergency traffic brought to you by Mountain America. We have about 3 miles of stopped traffic southbound I-15 as you leave Linden, go all the way to Center Street in Orem, where a crash is blocking 3 left lanes of the freeway. It's going to take you about 10 minutes or so to get through those 3 miles. Wasatch Front businesses and property managers, GoPave Utah provides all asphalt repairs for your parking. For patching and paving along the Wasatch Front, contact GoPave Utah, GoPaveUtah.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
The KSL News Radio app will update you on breaking stories.
Red Cross brought relief supplies.
And you'll get exclusive audio streams from local events, breaking news, and sports.
Cougars feel like they can overcome anything.
All of your favorite KSL hosts are there too, so you can listen anytime. Plus traffic and weather. Download it today. The app for KSL News Radio.
You worked hard for your 401k, but if you've left your job, your money might be sitting in the wrong hands. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and it's very possible that the 401k that you have had for years has hidden fees and limited investment choices. But if you're no longer with the company, that 401k may be at the mercy of your former employer. All of these things could be costing you thousands. Rolling over your 401k into an IRA can provide better investment options that align with your long-term goals. At Trajan Wealth, we're fiduciary advisors that are held to a higher standard with no hidden agenda and no hidden fees. Don't let your retirement dollars sit in an old plan, and don't roll it over to your new plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Advisory services are offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code POWER to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code POWER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code POWER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Temperatures might be cooling down, but fall camping's just warming up, and so is the country's largest used RV show. That's right, we're back in Utah just in time to outfit you for even more fall fun. October 9th through the 11th, we're packing the parking lot at the Shops at Southtown with a huge selection of used RVs to fit any budget. Shop travel trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, motorhomes, and more, all in one lot. We're talking RVs starting as low as $7,995. No payments until 2026 on approved credit. You'll also find new RVs at the show at used pricing, like all remaining new 2024s, and select 2025s marked down for fall discounts. Plus, get hooked up with specially priced hunting trailers just in time for hunting season. Get more details and find the best deals early at UtahUsedRVShow.com. All this plus free admission to the country's largest used RV show. 3 days only, October 9th through the 11th at the Shops at Southtown. Open daily at 11 a.m. Sponsored by Bish's RV. See you there.
Stock number 759418. Subject to prior sale. See dealer for details.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/deal for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
We are hearing that there is a deal in place, a Gaza ceasefire. It's within reach, and maybe it's even in place between Hamas and Israel, negotiating not only the release of the hostages and prisoner releases, but troop withdrawal from Gaza and aid entering the Gaza Strip. This is happening literally as we're talking here, and it's progressed since the show has started. To give us more and give an update on that, we have University of Utah law professor Amos Giora joining us. Professor, thanks for joining us. And what can you tell us is the current status of the negotiations?
First of all, thank you for having me. It is, as you correctly note, I don't know, minute by minute, is that the right expression?
Yeah.
It's Thursday evening. It is expected that the hostages will be released Monday latest, maybe even Saturday, and in return for that, there will be indeed a release, as you said, of many Palestinian prisoners. And in addition to that, and it's all related and all equally important, obviously a withdrawal of the Israel Defense Forces, the IDF, from part of Gaza, I don't think from all of Gaza, but as a step one in this very, very, very complicated process, which will be a long-term process. The most important things, speaking as an Israeli, are the release of the hostages and the ceasefire. And I think, obviously, from the perspective of Gazans, the partial withdrawal of the IDF, and beginning, hopefully, for them also, turning the page in a new life under, obviously, beyond complicated circumstances, critical. The next steps, geopolitically, the rebuilding of Gaza, who will run Gaza, where does Hamas go, who will be the dominant party in Gaza. I think those are probably steps that have yet to be determined. But if this, what is called stage one, phase one, goes as smoothly as these things can be in the next 96 hours, it will be, I don't know if the word unimaginable, a good word, we'll go with that. My family will be 3 generations at Hostage Square in Tel Aviv. I don't know if the word is celebrating, embracing the return hostages to take into consideration. Obviously, there are also dead hostages who I don't know if they'll be returned. The first stage is a little bit of question on that. But after 2 years of what is clearly a purposeless war, if this ends and we can begin the process of turning the page, critical. I think it's also important to note that 80% of Israelis support this. I assumed that of that, it was 80%, 100% of us, and I'm putting myself obviously in that camp, understand that this only happened because of President Trump, who forced this on Prime Minister Netanyahu, who's going along with this kicking and screaming. Two parties in the government will vote against this, but he has enough outside support in a parliamentary system that this will pass. Hopefully, again, is one of those who has spoken at hostage rallies and gone from demonstration to demonstration. This is, for us as Israelis, this will give us the opportunity to catch our breath and then begin rebuilding our society, which is also less important than the other issues. But at the moment, the unimaginable of the hostages coming home, literally overwhelmingly unimaginable, which is too many adjectives, but that is, I think, captures the mood accurately.
So, Professor, as you suggest, this first step is critical because it involves the lives of the hostages. We expect that will be done by Monday, including the prisoner release from the Israeli jails and the hostage release from Hamas. What then happens? Let's, for this moment, hope and wish that goes successfully. Who do you see as the primary brokering agents for what we've been told over and over that the subsequent steps are still very broadly defined? Who do you see at the table defining the rest of what will come to be hopefully a long-held peace agreement?
Multiple parties, and in no particular order. President Trump, and I don't know if it's him personally or if there'll be, Steve Witkoff or Jared Kushner, who seems to be back in the fold on these issues. Clearly, Qatar is critical to this, and I think Netanyahu was caught off guard 2 weeks ago when President Trump forced Netanyahu to apologize for Qatar for the utterly idiotic Israeli attack on Qatar. I think they've been clearly strengthened and emboldened. I'm not exactly sure what will be the role of Egypt in this. Clearly, Erdogan of Turkey wants to be involved in this. Multiple parties, and I know that former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair has offered his services to head up this board. I think that's the word that will begin the process of reconstructing Gaza. What will be the role of the Gazans? Absolutely essential. The Palestinian Authority, which is in control of the West Bank, has indicated they have no interest in being involved in this whatsoever. So this will have to be somebody from within Gaza, and hopefully there are positive forces in Gaza other than Hamas who will have a seat at the table, because it's absolutely essential they have a seat at the table, because history shows that anything like this that is imposed from the outside doesn't have much of a lifespan. And it really would be a wonderful turn if there would be non-Hamas Gazans who want to rebuild Gaza, and it's going to require an enormous financial undertaking to do this. Obviously, the Gazan civilian population has terribly suffered for the past 2 years. Long term, this is long term, and I don't know if the two of you know, but I was involved for a number of years in negotiating the implementation of the Oslo peace process between Israel and the Palestinian Authority. There will be endless roadblocks and hurdles and complications and negative forces. We all need to take a deep breath and understand this is a long-term process, but you're absolutely right. The next 96 hours are critical in terms of showing all involved that an agreement is not only is signed, but is implemented. And again, as an Israeli, the return of the hostages, those alive and those who have been killed, is for us is an unimaginable moment after these awful 2 years. And I'm sure the same thing for the Gazan civilian population, that I'm sure will breathe a deep sigh of relief when the IDF, Israel Defense Forces, begins the process of withdrawing from Gaza. One of the questions that obviously needs to be determined is what's the extent of the withdrawal? Will it be 53%, 75%, 100%? Time will tell, but that too is a critical question in all this.
Professor Ghiari, we've only got time for one more question and about a minute left, but what hurdles does Netanyahu need to still overcome to get this deal done? Do you think that he's got the support that he needs within his own administration?
No, within his own government, no, because the two right-wing parties will vote against it today, but there'll be support from the opposition, which will enable him to pass the necessary votes in the Knesset. The true hope for people of my ilk is that the government will ultimately fall before we have elections scheduled for October 2026. The hope is the government will fall before then. We'll have elections, and thereby begin turning the page, because the page can't be turned with him, because this is important for American audiences to understand. This was, pardon the expression, this was forced down his throat by President Trump, and that's why, as I said, 100% of the 80% of us well understand that all thanks are due to President Trump. We are a resilient people without a leader.
And can you just tell us quickly the number of hostages that are still remaining and maybe the number of Palestinian prisoners?
There are 48 Israeli hostages, 20 alive. I'm not good at math. That means 28 who have been killed. How many Palestinian prisoners? I think it's in the hundreds, I think, but I want to be careful with that, because I understand that there are a couple of key ones that primarily someone named Marwan Barghouti, where the Palestinians want his release, and Netanyahu so far is refusing. I don't know, again, why I say the next 96 hours are critical, but I can't imagine any of that being a stumbling block, because President Trump has not only put all of his weight behind this, but he has already accepted an invitation to come to Israel on Sunday to speak to the Knesset, the Israeli parliament. So Netanyahu has no choice but to go forward with however Trump wants this to go forward.
Interesting. Thank you, Professor. That's exciting news, and we can tell the optimism in your voice. But we'll watch the progress of that closely. Coming up,
just as a fact check, there are thousands. There's a couple thousand Palestinian.
Yeah.
And as he suggested, the definition is still left to be defined.
Right. Yeah, and the devil's in the details, but
for sure,
this is a very good step.
Big step.
Yeah. Earlier, we talked about some of the cases being reviewed by the United States Supreme Court. We're going to talk a little bit more and follow up on that, as well as some of the gears that are moving locally. Stick around.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour: home buyers across the nation are backing out of their contracts at record rates as prices surge and mortgage rates rise. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
About 15% of home buyers backed out of their contracts in August. Deseret News reports that's the highest rate since 2017, when records started being kept by Redfin. Experts say buyers are generally changing their minds at the home inspection, where buyers are looking for a lower-cost home but may find that comes with more issues.
Currently, there are more sellers in the market than buyers. Several slot canyons in southern and eastern Utah are being put under flash flood watches for the next 3 days. Moisture from a tropical storm is moving into the state, which is expected to cause heavy rainfall. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. As you've been hearing on Inside Sources, the first phase of a peace plan set up by President Trump has been tentatively agreed upon by Israel and Hamas. That means that dozens of hostages will be released from Gaza and the fighting will stop.
The Israeli officials will certainly want this to be a seamless exchange. If you'll recall, in one of the last prisoner release exchanges and hostage release, there was a big ceremony and some of the hostages were paraded through thousands of people. That is what the Israelis don't want to see again. It's our understanding that they have made that demand that on this next exchange.
ABC's Marcus Moore is in Tel Aviv and says there's no word yet when the parties might negotiate the details of Phase 2 of the peace plan. Your money at this moment, the Dow down 180 points this morning to 46,420. Coming up, extra warm today, extra cold by Sunday. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Hey guys, it's Woodrow from Mint Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with ED? Well, you are not alone. And now there's a real solution that treats the root cause, not just the symptoms. Introducing our Trifecta approach, a breakthrough combination of acoustic wave therapy, hormone replacement, and cryotherapy, all designed to restore blood flow, boost performance, and rebalance your hormones. Whether it's ED or hormonal imbalance, if you're ready to reignite your love life, this treatment helps bring back your energy, your drive, and your confidence. And right now, when you call, you'll receive a free consultation, a blood flow ultrasound, and an intimacy gift. That's a $650 value, absolutely free. And here's the bonus. The next 20 callers will also receive a 5-night stay at a luxury resort in Hawaii just for taking the first step. But you must call now. With 2 convenient locations in Layton and Sandy, help is closer than you think. Call 801-804-8000 now. That's 801-804-8000. Mint Medical Clinic. We'll get you back to mint condition.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-859-3220. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-859-3220. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-859-3220. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-859-3220 or biglou.com.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. I want you to know that it's the little things that count. Any remodeler can say they treat customers right when it comes to siding, gutters, windows, and exteriors. It's hard to know for sure. If a contractor uses cheap generic nails instead of super grippy ridge shaft nails for your siding, would you even know? If they use cheap $4 caulk to install your new windows instead of paying $9 a tube for the good stuff, could you tell by looking? It all comes down to the details and trust. At RGS Exteriors, we only do things one way, the right way. We never cut corners. We never skimp on details. We never do less than the job requires. That's why we offer our industry's exclusive 10-year everything guarantee. And it's why we have the happiest customers. If you need any gutters, siding, or replacement windows, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit rgsutah.com. That's 801-280-3110 or online at rgsutah.com.
Emergency traffic brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. And with an update, here's Heather Kelly.
Well, we still have this crash southbound I-15 at Center Street in Orem, and it's blocking 3 left lanes of the freeway, although it looks like, nope, It looks like they're trying to move something off the freeway. There's a ton of debris also scattered across these lanes of travel. So things are pretty backed up all the way to the Pleasant Grove exit. That's about 4 miles. It's taking you at least 15 or 20 minutes just to go those 4 miles between Pleasant Grove and Center Street in Orem. The good news is the earlier crash we had northbound 15 in Draper that was blocking several lanes, that is cleared and the delays are gone with it. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather above normal temperatures today with a high of 82, but clouds thicken up tonight, and then we've got some rain coming in tomorrow. If that rain gets heavier on Saturday, and by Sunday the temps are down low. Temps are down. Highs will only be in the 50s right now. What is it right now? It is 70 degrees and partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
They still call it the all-new Inside Sources.
All new.
I guess we're still in our rookie
I'm feeling
season.
new,
Yeah,
Greg.
there we go. Well, I'm
Feeling
here with
fresh.
my old friend,
That's
Mara
right.
Carabello, filling in for Holly Richardson today. And thanks, Mara, for being with us again. We had a good time last week. And we're a little bit all over the map today because there's so much going on.
So much going on.
Redistricting, Democrats looking forward to maybe having an open seat here, or at least an available seat here in Utah. We just spoke about, I think, what the big news of the day, which is there may very well be a ceasefire in Gaza between Israel and Hamas. I mean, that's
the
huge.
biggest news 2 years
Right.
in. Yeah.
And our Supreme Court is in session. Of course, in October, the Supreme Court convenes its session. And you mentioned something pretty smart earlier, which is we actually get the decisions in June or July. So
Right.
we're talking about cases right now that are interesting and that I think are going to be fascinating, at least from my perspective. I love it when the Supreme Court's in session. I've never argued at the Supreme Court. I've been to Utah Supreme Court several times, and
Okay.
I've been to the 10th Circuit, which is the step down from the United States Supreme Court.
And is the
several
structure
times.
slightly different for the Supreme Court in terms of how you argue in front or not? Is
No,
it-
I know
it's
it
all the
looks
same.
like it's the same. I mean, when you get to an appeals court, it's not like a trial court for obvious reasons. What you're talking
Yeah.
to a jury or a judge or making your argument. Boy, there's a clock in front of you.
Okay.
And it's like you get 30 minutes and you can
And they're
divide your
serious,
time into
yeah.
I want 20 for my thing and 10 for my rebuttal and when that clock's off, you could be right in the middle of your answer, and unless the judges say go ahead, you're done. You're done speaking. Whereas when I'm doing closing arguments, the judge will usually say, "How long do you need, Skordas?"
The other thing I'll note before we dive into it
Yeah.
from a non-attorney, a layperson, if this conversation sparks your interest, the Supreme Court's website actually does
Yeah.
a pretty good job aggregating their cases, plain speaking what the issues are. It's not that hard to follow along and become a junkie. So, it's surprising how well I think that the court's own website will tell you why and what they're discussing.
Yeah, and so for a case to get to the United States Supreme Court, obviously it has to work itself up, and then they have to grant what they call certiorari. They're going to hear a case.
Okay.
And so people petition the Supreme Court all the time. They want their case to go up. They didn't get what they wanted at the Court of Appeals or wherever. And the Supreme Court could say, yes, we'll take a case, or no, they won't. And we've even seen the United States Supreme Court grant like temporary relief, like an injunction on something until something can be heard. The Utah Supreme Court did that on the
Planned
redistricting
Parent-
and Planned Parenthood.
right.
Right. There's a current injunction in place. But the Supreme Court is scheduled to decide some fairly significant issues. I want to talk about two first. These are Trump's firing of federal officials. And you would think, well, he can fire anyone he wants. But there's some federal agencies that we think of as independent, not Republican, not Democrat,
Right.
and not beholden to any of the three branches of government, because we expect, for example, the Fed. We want the Federal Reserve to be able to act in the best interest of the economy and not in the best interest of the Democrats or the Republicans.
And we find it critical to them serving their mission, right?
Absolutely.
This independence is written into their provenance.
Right, and the same with the Federal Trade Commission. So when we have these agencies and these individuals appointed to these positions, we don't expect them to be fired by the President of the United States. In fact, it's almost unprecedented. There has to be a significant reason, that is, that they've committed some malfeasance in office or something like that. Not necessarily that the president isn't happy with what they're doing. And of course, he's saying much more than that he's not happy with what they're doing. He has alleged that there's some malfeasance. But the court's going to take that up, the firing of federal officials. The Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook, there was a battle over her, whether or not she had made some errors in terms of how she was, financed a house, or whether she was the owner of the house or occupant and made loan fraud. And the other one is the Federal Trade Commission, and I think the concern there is that the Trump administration thinks that they're not acting in the best interest of the country. So the Supreme Court's going to have to weigh in and decide whether or not he had the authority to fire those people.
One thing I find curious about this, just from a basic level, is that these offices were designed and empowered by Congress.
Right.
So I find it curious that on face the executive branch would believe itself to have jurisdiction over something that they do not have jurisdiction to design.
And let me just say this about that. There is a very strong feeling right now in this country, especially in the legal community, that the Supreme Court is, for the first time maybe in American history, willing to defer tremendous authority on the executive branch. Whether to give the executive branch, I mean, you talk about the what did he get? Immunity last year, the presidential immunity. We never had that before. You usually assume you're president, you're still responsible for your conduct. But they granted this broad stroke of immunity. And, of course, it's going to apply to Democratic presidents.
And what do you attribute that to?
I attribute it to the Supreme Court giving deference to the administrative branch in a way they've never had before. There's this thought, even from when the Constitution was formed, there were some of the individuals who felt like it didn't give enough authority to the president. That the checks and balances are one thing, but there is a notion. You watch where we're going to be, especially with this current makeup of the Supreme Court. The president is going to have authority we've never dreamt possible. And maybe I'm overstating things, but there's a fear among a lot of people, and there's some joy among an equally number of people who think that's the way it should be. But Trump is pushing the envelope here with the Supreme Court, who he now feels is stacked in his favor, and he's certainly got two justices, Clarence Thomas and Alito, who will grant him virtually anything he wants. You know what I mean? They'll certainly.
Yeah. Do you think that the mood of Congress, in which the Congress seems to also be enormously deferential to the executive branch
never
now
before,
as well?
right?
Yeah, I find that unique in that there's no tension. I don't find it unique even among similar-minded party members. One usually said, well, you're the executive branch and I'm the legislative branch, and we might be in the same party, but I have a very distinct and different role. I'm not hearing much of that right now.
No.
I'm hearing a complete deference to a singular leader that is in the executive branch.
And right now, it's working in terms of the way the president wants. Let me just tell you when we're going to have a problem, if at all. And we're running out of time. If, in fact, midterm elections produce a majority of Democrats in Congress, and the president says, I don't care what you say. I mean, we could have a constitutional crisis if, in fact, the one branch so overpowers the other branch that we don't have that anymore.
Supreme Court, Greg, is also taking up an issue we've been talking about. We're going to continue to talk about, which on their docket is the Louisiana electoral district, having to do with a majority district that was a black majority district. This relates to the 1965 Voting Rights Act,
right?
But it has some relationships to the conversation that we've been talking about in terms of affinity communities.
Right, and we can talk more about that later. But just briefly, when you deal with excluding a group of individuals based on their race, that's a very much constitutionally protected class. In Utah, we're saying, well, you're excluding people based on their political affiliation. That's not a constitutionally protected class. So excluding Democrats is one thing. Excluding African Americans is quite
different.
Another. And I'm
That's right.
simplifying a very complicated argument. We'll talk more about that later. We did talk with Utah Democratic Party Chair Brian King earlier in the show about the possibility of Democrats eyeing Congress with a new map. We're going to talk more about some of the names to watch for. That's coming up next, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
Emergency traffic brought to you by Mountain America. A little bit of good news. The crash we had southbound I-15 at Center Street in Orem just cleared all the lanes or have reopened a few minutes ago. So we still have delays all the way back into Pleasant Grove, but those are going to quickly clear out. Now, we also had the closure of Bangerter Highway eastbound at 2700 West in Riverton. That was shut down for almost 15 minutes, but they've just reopened those lanes as well. So the stop traffic that we have backed up toward 134th South will start clearing out here shortly as well. Wasatch Front businesses and property managers, GoPave Utah provides all asphalt repairs for your parking. For patching and paving along the Wasatch Front, contact GoPave Utah. GoPaveUtah.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Make game day yours with the Utah Mammoth app. Get your tickets, order food and drinks without leaving your seat, track live stats, and stream every game with Mammoth Plus, all in one place. It's the ultimate game day essential, designed for Mammoth fans. Stay connected to your hometown team and never miss a moment. Download the Utah Mammoth app today on iPhone and Android. Turn on push notifications and make every day game day. Tusks up.
This week's movie show brought to you by My Hearing Centers. Schedule a hearing evaluation and be entered to win a set of premium hearing aids by tuning in Friday from 10 to 1.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with a Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
Progressive Home Quote Explorer lets you easily compare rates, so shopping for insurance might be the easiest part of owning a home. Definitely easier than this.
Psst, honey. Honey! What? Shh, there's a salesman walking up the driveway. Oh no, he's got a clipboard. What do we do? Get down. Down? On the floor, you... Shoot, did he see us? Why are you breathing so loud?
Home ownership isn't easy, but with Progressive's Home Quote Explorer, shopping for home insurance is. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Do you know how to tell if a clogged drain is something to worry about or not? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I understand it's annoying and inconvenient, but sometimes a clogged drain can be a sign there's a more serious issue with your sewer main line. If the drains in the lowest level of your home aren't draining, or you flush a toilet and it comes up somewhere else like a shower or a floor drain, I'm urging you to look at this as more than just an annoyance. The last thing I want you to experience is a sewer backup. If you're a homeowner experiencing any of these issues, the first step would be to snake the line to see if it's just a blockage, which one of our drain techs can do for only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/deal for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
Earlier in the show, we talked to Democratic Party Chair Brian King about the possibility of Democrats in Congress. I mean, that seemed like a very faint hope a month or so ago, but with what's happening with redistricting, I think the Democrats have some reason for optimism. And of course, once you have that, as Brian said, certain names come out and some people come out.
Oh, and Greg, Brian didn't have some reason for optimism. He suggested that he's thinks 2 seats for
they're-
Democrats out of our 4 total seats.
Yeah.
is
Well,
possible.
I mean, he's party chair. He's
Yeah, I mean, that's his job.
Yeah. So then, of course, then you start thinking, well, who's a viable name? And and he said something that hit close to home with me, which is like, well, if it's a real race, you get some viable people, as opposed to when I ran, which was like, me personally, we didn't have much of a chance. But I still felt like, I'm an attorney. I always feel like I have a chance of winning.
Well, and you ran for a statewide office.
Right.
That's huge in Utah. And one thing that brings up is, I think something when we think about candidates, something to keep in mind is, I believe we have a very different logic stream when we're thinking about electing a state candidate. That's governor,
Attorney General,
attorney
Senate.
generals, those things. Then we do who we're going to send into battle. I'm going to use that word intentionally. Battle at the federal level.
Right.
Like what kind of scrappy person do we want fighting our fights in federal government? Tends to be very different than the person we want as governor representing our state and having the conversation with us. So
Good point.
this is for this would be who the Democrats are going to offer after a pretty contentious redrawing of some maps, who they would send into battle that Utah would send off to Washington, D.C. Now, recently, before the census, before the redrawing, we did have a Democratic representative, and that was Ben McAdams. And he would loosely have been in Burgess Owenson's seat. That's not quite
Right.
1 for 1, but loosely.
That's who he lost
yeah,
to, right?
That's right.
So I guess his name would be near or at the top of the list of people who may be a viable candidate, and I don't know what his level of interest is, and that I don't know that it's important. But I would have to say this, Mara, he ran well.
Mm-hmm.
He did serve in Congress. He also served as our mayor of Salt Lake County with some distinction. I thought he did a very good job.
Well, and the reason that that's important is one of the things we always look at is who's running and who else has ever voted for them.
Right.
And when you're the Salt Lake County mayor, you're the second largest government in the state of Utah. And that means a lot of people have already voted yes to him. So we'll have that criteria as we go through this whole list of names. But having people who have voted for you in a prior election is a huge advantage to someone running.
And money's a big issue, too, and he raised over $5 million during his 2020
He sure
election
did.
bid.
And he got a lot of national money.
Okay, so let me run a couple of other names by you in no particular order. And let me just talk about our city and county mayors.
Yes.
And maybe group those two. And not that they're all the same, but they're both popular. They're both, Democrat, let's face it.
Yeah.
Erin Mendenhall,
Yeah.
It's a nonpartisan position, but she sort of leans more Democrat. Do you
So
think-
Erin Mendenhall has had an enormously high profile. Salt Lake City mayors have high profiles.
Right.
They're different. The capital city's mayor is different than the others. She's represented us for the Olympic bid, so that gives her some neutrality about who was she representing. She's very talented in front of the media. I mean, one of the things you have to look at a candidate is how quickly they can connect and how well they do with the media and social media and modern channels. So she is well known for having a large communications team at the city and for putting a lot of emphasis on communications. That gives a potential candidate. Again, you and I are talking about names. We don't know how interested
absolutely,
anyone is.
right.
But I would put Mayor Mendenhall as a likely very strong candidate
Really?
to get out there because of her skill set in communications.
You put Mayor Wilson in that same category?
Mayor Wilson has run for federal office in the past.
She ran against Mitt Romney, I think.
Yeah, she did. She has shown interest in a number of races. She is, as we suggested with Ben McAdams, she's the current Salt Lake County mayor. So she had the majority of those of us living in Salt Lake County vote for her once. She's been a county council member for quite some time. She's been an elected official for quite some time. She's pretty seasoned at running the trap. So she would be someone who could put together the apparatus rather quickly.
Okay, and she's run twice. She ran recently for re-election and did very well in Salt Lake County against a strong opponent. Let me ask you about a couple of our representatives, Senator Nate Bluin and Senator Kathleen Reeby.
Two very different folks, right?
Right.
Nate Blumen, I think of his own accord, would list himself as a firebrand.
Right.
He is often carrying pure pieces of Democratic legislation, ones that he knows may have not a likelihood of passing, but it's important to him that he's representing what he sees as a very intentional Democratic agenda. And he's younger, he's vigorous, he comes from the advocacy community. Kathleen Reeby has been a senator for a long time. She comes from the educational community. The question for her is, does that rally? Are people interested in having an educator in
And
the
so
seat?
when Chris Stewart announced his resignation early, there was a special election, and she did run against Celeste Malloy for that position and ran well. I mean, there wasn't a lot of time for either of them, but so she's got some experience in the national political races.
That's right. We also have a few others who have also taken cuts before. We've got who we spoke with earlier, Brian King's in the mix. Brian King was a state representative, and he also ran for governor unsuccessfully this last time against.
In the mix that, in terms
Cox.
of you and I thinking about the mix.
Yeah.
I mean, none of these people have said that they're jumping in necessarily.
That's right. Caroline Glick, who ran against John Curtis this last race, she's indicated from several people that she maybe isn't done thinking about her journey. And
She's very popular with the Democrats.
Yeah, she didn't perform well. I will say neither Brian King nor she performed very well in that cycle. And one would have to look at that. Like there are folks who people like their race, but it's also really important to see how they did in the polls, how well they went outside of the Democratic base.
I would say this about those two, though. King against Cox and Caroline Glick against John Curtis. They ran against moderates.
Yeah.
And so I think in the general election that hurt them both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you say they didn't run well, they didn't run particularly well. And neither of them, I think, even won Salt Lake County.
Yeah.
Which was
strange. I mean, what I would say is in this cycle they're going to run against an incumbent. So
yeah.
So they're going to whoever the Democrats put up needs to have the mindset of running well against an incumbent if they're really looking at showing well and really gaining. One of the things, you and I were talking about that I think it's interesting is let's make the assessment that there's really only one of the seats that maybe significantly changes the outcome for a Democrat. It would still be worthwhile for the Democrats to field 4 great candidates, I mean, that would be interesting. The other interesting thing to remember, so we've been spending all this time about boundaries. Where are the boundaries and what that would mean? Here's a fun fact about Utah. We have elected several members of Congress who don't live in the boundary that they're running for. I find that so curious.
Right.
We've largely not cared that much, starting with, I think the first one was Jason Chaffetz. Since then, I mean, Ben McAdams didn't live in his district. We have not. Now, to be clear, they didn't live 100 miles away.
Right.
They lived, 2 miles away.
Right.
But nonetheless, we have not
It's not a
seemed
requirement.
particularly
Right.
concerned either that you don't technically live in the district that you're running for.
One last name, Luz Escamilla.
Luz Escamilla, she's run for Salt Lake mayor a couple of times. She also is a sitting state senator, has been. She represents the west side of Salt Lake City, and she is a long-term. She's interesting as a Democrat because she also has a really strong business agenda. That has been something that she's cared about a lot, is also bringing in a larger business and economic voice.
My guess is that we may hear a name that none of us are particularly familiar with. I mean, who knew Caroline Glick before she ran? It'll be interesting to see what happens there. When we come back after the break, federal voices have suggested furloughed government workers may not see back pay once the government opens up. We'll talk about that with Deseret News Washington correspondent Cami Mondo next.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Mornings are for
Day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
It's the Wi-Fi nightmare. Your kids are gaming online, your spouse is streaming, and all you want to do is watch an interesting YouTube clip, but the rest of your family has swiped all the zippity bandwidth. And you get the spinning wheel thingy, and you sound like an 8-year-old kid. It's not fair! But it doesn't have to be that way. Just imagine if your Wi-Fi was a lot smarter. Picture it, your TV, your phone, laptop, even your fancy fridge working together to make life easier. Well, Xfinity makes that dream a reality. You'd think they're telepathic. Really smart Wi-Fi that knows when your device needs a boost. The best equipment to stream 4 games at once with Multiview, and Xfinity Mobile that gives you Wi-Fi where you need it and 5G everywhere else. No more fighting for bandwidth at the end of a long day. Every device gets exactly what it needs. That's the magic of Xfinity. It's seamlessly in tune with you. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply.
11:01 at KSL News Radio. I'm Heather Peterson. KSL's top story this hour: the iconic salt crust on the Bonneville Salt Flats is thinning, and the organizers of World of Speed say if the trend continues, they won't be able to hold their events. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
Vehicles can reach up to 500 miles per hour or more on the salt flats thanks to the substantial salt crust. But organizers tell the Salt Lake Tribune where the crust was once several feet thick, now there are places where it's an inch or even less. Advocates and racers believe the nearby potash mine has prevented the natural crust from building up. A report from the University of Utah found the flats have shrunk by 75% in the last century. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
Moab is preparing for the worst this weekend with an incoming storm. The town has several 24-hour sandbag filling locations open just in case of a flood. The Moab Public City Works Yard and Grand County Roads Department are also offering sand starting this morning. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The first phase of a deal has been tentatively agreed upon by Israel and Hamas. That means that dozens of hostages will be released from Gaza and the fighting would stop. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says it's welcome news.
This brings a huge sigh of relief to the hostage families, to all of Israel, and to Palestinians who have suffered for so long in this horrific humanitarian catastrophe.
No word yet on whether the parties would agree to long-term plans for Gaza. Your money at this moment: the Dow is down 209 points, the S&P down 26, and the NASDAQ is down 83. Coming up, it might be our last day of warmth for a while. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:03.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Utah can count on.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
If you are facing divorce, call Cordell and Cordell today.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
If you are facing divorce, contact Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. That's 1-855-GET-LEGAL. CordellCordell.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, all of our delays are finally gone. Southbound I-15 in Utah County, where we had a crash blocking half of the freeway lanes, but that's all gone. You're in nice drive mode now, as well as Bangerter Highway. That was shut down for about 15 minutes, about half an hour ago. That is reopened, so no delays in that area of Riverton. The only issues you may run into are some of the construction zones, especially on the west side belt northbound between 201 Freeway and California Avenue. The Utah Snowmobile Show is this Friday and Saturday at its new location at Western Sports Park in Farmington. The Utah Snowmobile Show this Friday and Saturday. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 82 in the forecast today, but with some rain expected tomorrow and Saturday, those temperatures are going to start dropping. 76 on Friday, 73 on Saturday, and 56 by Sunday. Right now it's partly cloudy and 72 degrees. I'm Heather Peterson from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com, we're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
I'm alongside Mara Carabello this morning still. Mara, we're in day 9 now of the government shutdown, and so federal employees are not getting paid, at least for the time being. Some are what we call essential employees. That is to say, they're told, even though you're not getting paid, you're going to work.
Yeah.
Some are non-essential, so they're not going to work. And there's a group of those. Unfortunately, I've got 2 family members who are essential. So they're working, not getting paid. Historically, when we've had these government shutdowns, after the dust settles and the government gets going again, they get their makeup pay. But there's some talk now that there may not be that, or that there will be either furloughs for some of those that are not working, or maybe they're not going to be made up pay. And I think it's causing a lot of people to be very upset.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to stay on the sidelines on this one. I'm going to start the segment with my outrage. I think this is astonishing. I think it's astonishing that the politicians would fail to do their fundamental job. Congress's first and foremost job is to balance the budget and pass the budget. They have not balanced the budget in any of our lifetime, and they've most recently, for the last couple of decades, been unable to accomplish even the passing of a budget. And so you have these group of public servants standing ready to do the jobs in which they were trained to do, and you have their elected officials potentially signaling that they may turn on them in their moment of need. And this lack of process and this lack of respect for public service should rest firmly on those we elect, and that's the members of Congress who are frankly failing to do their job.
Well, let's see what's going on right now in D.C. We have with us Cami Mondo, Deseret News congressional reporter who's in Washington. Cami, can you tell us, first of all, without regard to the back pay, is there any movement going on there? Is there a vote scheduled in our future?
It's actually perfect timing. They're actually voting right now on that CR that we've seen come up every single day for the last week. It is about to fail on the floor. We're just waiting on one last senator to put their vote in. But the Democratic one failed about an hour ago, so that's where the votes are right now. You know, it's kind of stuck in the same cycle that we've been in for about 7 days.
I know. Is the vote total the same? I mean, we're not moving up at all?
No, it stayed the same of all the Republicans, voting for the CR, and then those same 3 Democrats that we've seen break party lines, they've been consistent in their votes as well. So no movement on that.
So we started this segment by talking about a rumor, a rumor that we're hearing that some federal workers may be furloughed, or there's been some sparks of some rumors about maybe not getting back pay. What are you hearing about this? Are you also hearing these rumors?
Absolutely. So that's been part of the conversations up here about, as these government workers are placed either, they're essential, they're still working up here, or they are furloughed where they're sent home and they legally cannot work on anything that is part of their job. Earlier this week, there was a memo that was reported by the Office of Management Budget at the White House saying that maybe these furloughed workers aren't actually guaranteed the back pay that we've seen guaranteed automatically over the last few years in case this ever happened. There was a bill that was passed, during the last government shutdown in Trump's first term. It was passed with overwhelming bipartisan support. President Trump actually signed it, which that's the law that guarantees the back pay for these federal workers. But now they're saying there's some legal analysis that may not actually apply to those who are furloughed and not working.
Cami, I don't know if it was you or someone else that was talking to us about the military, and that something like there was a deadline next Wednesday, maybe, when their funds would run out, and that might be a shot in the arm for the Republicans and Democrats to get something done, because we'll have so many more furloughed employees, which was not a particular group that we were looking forward to being furloughed. And maybe I'm stating that wrong, but I just heard that there might be some other dates coming up that might get us more interested in getting the government going again.
Absolutely, yes. So next Wednesday, which is the 15th, that's when those scheduled paychecks are supposed to go out for our government workers. Military is part of that. But yeah, they don't have an agreement and don't reopen the government by, I think Monday is the day that they would need to do that to kind of get all the procedural stuff going. They will miss their paychecks. And it's looking like that's likely to happen at this point. They haven't made any progress in the Senate, and the House is still out as well. So it looks like that deadline of next Wednesday will come and go, and military members will miss those paychecks.
So one has to assume that the reason you would throw out there not back pay is that it pressurizes the system, right? It may prompt a quicker return to government operations because of the pressure that puts. Is that the rationale you're hearing? And sort of at the heart of that, it says, yeah, workers can be pawns in this political game. Are you hearing any elected officials talk about that aspect of it?
That's definitely the messaging from the Democratic side, especially, of saying that this is just another intimidation tactic, especially because the idea of withholding those furloughed workers their back pay, it seems to be, against the law that many of these lawmakers actually passed themselves. And so it does seem to be like another pressure point. We saw last week they were saying that layoffs could be coming. We haven't seen those yet, and so Democrats kind of wanted to call the bluff on that. It seems like that's also what they're doing with this. But of course, it's not really sure if they have a legal argument. We'd have to see if that's actually something they're serious about. But to your point, yeah, Democrats are definitely saying it's just a pressure point situation.
Cami, can you tell us how these votes are scheduled? So we're not even seeing anything on any of the TV screens about the vote that happened today. And I didn't know it was going on. Today's Thursday. Will there be another one Friday, or they're going to have one Monday, or do we even know?
As of right now, we're not sure if they're going to be in tomorrow for voting. They do have some votes later this evening that are unrelated to the government funding. Once those are passed, it's very likely they could just leave for the weekend. Under the Senate calendar, they're scheduled to be in recess for next week, but Thune was saying earlier today that they're likely going to cancel that recess if we're still in a shutdown. So we'll likely see votes next week as well. But they're kind of just scheduled, usually like 48 hours, 24 hours in advance. So it's kind of random of when we see those votes actually scheduled.
So we know there are several working groups trying to build bridges, and the reporting that we're hearing today is that they're not getting very far. Are you hearing anything unique, or what is the most interesting thing you're hearing from the Utah delegation?
For sure. I actually caught up with Senator John Curtis about an hour ago just to see if he's been tuned in to any of these bipartisan conversations. He said he hasn't really been in the room for them, but his indication is that a lot of those bipartisan conversations have stalled since the shutdowns dragged on. But we did hear from Leader Thune earlier today. He told one outlet called Semaphore that, maybe some of them are starting to discuss whether promising Democrats a later vote on the health care policies that they're demanding could be an off-ramp, but that hasn't materialized either. So we're just seeing a lot of stalled conversations, no agreements anywhere, and so that's pretty much where we're stuck right now.
Thanks, Cami. That was Cami Mando, Deseret News congressional reporter. And you have to wonder, Mara, whether or not one party is going to get blamed to the extent where right now it seems like blame goes both ways. Yeah. It's been slightly in favor of more blame with the Republicans and Democrats, but at some point does it become so awkward for one party that they have to come to the table? I mean, we're not there yet.
I mean, sadly, that feels like what the most likely solution is, right? Is that they start to not see a benefit for themselves, and so that will force them to act on behalf of all.
Yeah, let's hope we get that going. We need to get our government back in operation. This week, the One Utah Summit convened to discuss the important matters of rural Utah. We're going to talk about that next. That's coming up, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
These Cougars are rolling.
Parker Kingston has the first down and more.
Rocking and rolling.
He's going to go 20, 10, touchdown!
The nationally ranked BYU Cougars put their undefeated record on the line Saturday against Arizona.
It's a 2-touchdown quarter.
Listen to Cougar Tracks all this week from 6:30 to 7. And catch every play on Saturday on Utah's legacy home of the Cougars.
It's game time, yeah. We on the way.
KSL News Radio.
Cooler weather. What a relief. Unless you have old drafty windows. Soon the heat will escape through the cracks and your energy bill's going to go through the roof. So now's the time to call Advanced Window Products and get brand new state-of-the-art custom windows and frames at factory direct pricing. The factory is right here in Salt Lake City, where they've been building precision windows since 1986, and you're going to save a lot of money since there's no middleman markup. You save 30, even 40% on your new windows. Even better, call now and they'll give you an extra $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Double pane argon-filled windows with a low-energy triple coating, any style, any color, and Advanced Windows gives you a lifetime warranty. If you have an issue, they're not 10 states away. They're right here in town, and they offer 0% 60-month financing. So make the call now. Get $2,500 off. 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
The United States is facing a mental health crisis, but there is hope. At Huntsman Mental Health Foundation, they're transforming how mental health is treated and researched, bringing compassion, innovation, and access to those who need it most. Your donation helps fund life-saving care and cutting-edge research that leads to better treatment for everyone. It's already making a difference. Huntsman Mental Health Foundation has built Utah's first ever mental health crisis care center, open 24/7 to anyone, regardless of ability to pay. They've also recently launched a youth crisis care program at Huntsman Mental Health Institute, giving kids and teens immediate support. And Huntsman Mental Health Foundation is expanding services like therapy, medication management, geriatric care, and treatment-resistant support. Join us. Be part of the change. Donate today at hmhf.org. That's hmhf.org.
Stop for a moment and think about this. Do you know how much money in your 401k or IRA is actually yours? Or will the government take a bigger chunk than you thought? Remember, you still might owe taxes on that money. But do you have a plan to help make sure you don't pay more than you should? At Capital Wealth Advisors, we believe you deserve to keep more of what you've earned, which is why we're here to help you navigate the confusing world of retirement taxes. It's your money. You deserve to know what's at stake. Right now, taxes are historically low, but they won't be this low forever. So call the Capital Wealth Advisors team today so you don't miss out on this opportunity. 801-210-5500. That's 801-210-5500. You work hard for your money, and we'll work just as hard to help you keep it. Capital Wealth Advisors, 801-210-5500. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor. Firm may not give tax advice.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Ooh, ma. What was that?
That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud Phone System. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm? I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business calm at ooma.com/radio.
How can you free your team from time-consuming office tasks? Amazon Business. Smart business buying tools enable buyers to find and purchase items fast so they can focus on strategy and growth. Free up your teams and focus on your future. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Every 2 minutes, an American is sexually assaulted. Be the someone who gives their time. Be the someone who lends an ear. Be the someone who takes a step. This is Christina Ricci with RAIN, asking you to join the fight against sexual violence and volunteer in your community. Log on to RAIN.org, that's RAINN.org, to learn how you can be the someone.
This message brought to you by the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network and this station.
The new Inside Sources.
The first part of this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we had many people gather at Southern Utah University in Cedar City for what was called the premier rural event where top leaders shape Utah's future. This is called the One Utah Summit, Greg, and I'm here today, Mara Carabello, with Greg Skordas. And Greg, One Utah Summit has been around for several years. It used to be called Utah's Economic and Energy Summit. That was in 2020. 2021, it became the One Utah Summit, and since then, it's been held in Cedar City, and it's unique. It sort of premises saying, hey, listen, there's 29 counties, not just
the Wasatch Front.
Not just you guys on the Wasatch Front. But what's been remarkable about this is who they've been able to attract, the depth of their agendas. And we wanted to take a little glimpse, a little deeper dive into what was discussed, what's the impact of this summit. And to do this, we brought one of the main speakers. They had speakers like Spencer Cox, U.S. Secretary of the Interior Doug Burgum, but one of the folks actually has been a host with us, Greg, but she is currently the Chief of Staff to the House of Representatives. She has played a pivotal role in public policy for many years. So we're going to invite Abby Osborne on to join us for this segment. Abby, thanks for joining us.
Mara, thanks, Greg. It's nice to have you for having me.
Okay, so
get the call today from you too.
Yeah, so you were at the One Utah Summit. I'm going to start first with what was your topic? What did you cover while you were there?
So I was actually wearing my hat as the chair of the Utah Inland Ports, and we've been on for the last couple of years just in our partnership with this summit. But about a month ago, we announced we brought BNSF as one of our intermodal service providers to the state. As you guys know, Union Pacific has been our primary supporter of or provider in the state, and we just announced a month ago that BNSF would also be coming to the state. So we walked through with Patriot Rail, who was integral in this, and then also the executive vice president of BNSF out of Kansas City joined me on a panel. So it was really great because I don't think as audience members or really people of the state of Utah that knew that this was happening.
And you can't underhype this. For those of you who aren't railroad junkies, one of the things is that rail still supplies tons of our goods and services. I mean, it is the backbone of our supply chain. So broadening who can provide these services, holy Toledo, such a big deal. So I'm glad you started out with that.
Thank you for saying that. And it's so much about growing the pie, right, Mara? Like, I mean, these providers, it's really a monopoly in the and to have two of the biggest, right? Union Pacific's just going through their merger, and now BNSF. Our manufacturers and our businesses have more competition. Prices will go down. I mean, the governor said it really well at the press conference a month ago. This announcement is so huge for our, bringing in the Olympics.
Abby, what can you tell our listeners, including this particular co-host, about the One Utah Summit? I am not familiar with it. It's billed as a rural event, but it's attended by leaders from the Wasatch Front as well. It seems like everybody was there.
Yeah, so they were saying, when this first started, as Mara said, I brought in a couple hundred people, mostly rural. They talked about rural issues, including energy and agriculture. And in the last 5 years, it's grown to, this year's attendance was over 2,000 attendees. A lot of rural partners, but as you stated, Greg, it brings in a lot of folks from the Wasatch Front. I mean, Mara mentioned this, but Secretary Burgum came on. He obviously couldn't travel because of the shutdown, but he came on via Zoom, and we talked about lands issues. We had energy discussion with a panel. Speaker Schultz was on before me, and he talked about infrastructure, including housing and growth and everything else. So we cover a gamut of topics, and it's really just a chance for everybody to come together, listen to issues. We do really focus on rural, of course, but it is not just about rural Utah. It's a really great And I don't know if you've ever been to SUU in Cedar. It's a beautiful campus, and it's nice to get off the Wasatch Front and remind all these leaders, what we're here for.
Who can attend? Can anyone attend?
Oh, anyone.
Okay.
Yes. Anyone. And, it happens annually. It's usually at the end of September, beginning of October. And GoEO runs it along with SUU as a partner. So, yeah, anyone can attend, and there's classes and breakout sessions, and it's really, really a really well done program by the governor.
Abby, I know you're Wonder Woman, but how do you have time for inland port work in addition to what else you do?
You know what, Greg? It is probably one of my favorite assignments, and I know Mara said this, I'm the chief of staff in the House, but I'm actually the governor's appointee on the inland port, which is a really interesting position to be in. But I've been the chair for the last couple of years, and it's just incredible work. The inland port started out as a 4-letter word, and it's grown into this really great organization we have 14 locations across the state, but 11 of them are off the Wasatch Front. And I'll just give you one example, Beaver, Utah, right? You think of the small county of Beaver. We have 100 jobs just at our one port in Beaver, and that's an incredible amount of jobs.
I'm gonna
Beaver and
good. So I'm gonna have you switch topics. So one of the hottest topics I'm still hearing about from last year is energy. Really a broad topic.
Oh yeah.
What was the most exciting, interesting thing you're hearing being talked about at the One Utah Summit regarding energy?
I mean, Secretary Burgum said it best. Utah is the state of abundance. And the fact that we're leading the nation really in the conversations on nuclear is really incredible. We're also leading on geothermal, and then we have obviously the portfolio of the renewables as well, including wind and solar, and so we're kind of the above all state. It's not about picking the energy, coal versus renewables. It's about abundance, and that was the message. And, we're such a growth state, but we're also at the precipice of being really the provider for the nation. So that was kind of the message on energy.
Abby, was there an overarching theme to this year's summit? I mean, did it seem like it was focused on energy, more on development, more on rural Utah, or sort of all of the above?
Energy certainly played a part, right? Because that's the reason Secretary Burgum was there, who kicked off everything. I mean, that was a big part of it. But, the summit kind of covers the gamut on those issues. We talked about lands, of course, as they normally do at this thing. But I would say energy was probably at the forefront of people's minds for sure.
So I'm going to ask you if you joined. Rocky Mountain Power apparently had bucket trucks there which hold 4 people at a time and lift you up 100 feet. Did you do that?
Dick Garlish, who's the CEO of Rocky Mountain Power, was on the panel right before me. He said, I got to get you in a bucket truck. And I'm like, oh, you haven't seen me on heights. I'm like, I don't do he's like, well, we'll clip you in. And I'm like, no. I am not doing that. But there was a few people that did it, and they seemed to enjoy themselves. But that is high. You think of 100, 150 feet up on the ground. Whew. Made me a little nervous. So
I knew you were smart, Abby. I just didn't appreciate just how smart until now. Thanks for joining us again.
Greg.
You bet. Nice to hear your voice, by the way.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You as well. Thanks, both of you. Bye-bye.
After last week's historic rain came some serious flooding. We're going to learn more about the cleanup efforts from Emergency Manager Division Chief Ty Shepard after this.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. There are now 53 confirmed cases of measles in Utah this year. Director of Communications with the Salt Lake County Health Department, Nicholas Rupp, tells Inside Sources this is a big deal.
Tragically, 1 in 5 unvaccinated people who get measles will end up hospitalized. 1 in 20 unvaccinated children who get measles will end up with pneumonia, and 1 in 1,000 children will develop encephalitis.
Encephalitis is a form of brain swelling which can lead to permanent intellectual disabilities. Rep says anyone with proper vaccination has no need to worry. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Several protesters have been charged in Boston after a pro-Palestinian rally turned violent earlier this week.
13 arraigned total. Boston police said some of the protesters blocked traffic, torched a cruiser, and assaulted officers. 4 police officers were injured, one getting a broken nose.
We are a city that has been built on the right to speak your mind and to peacefully protest.
Boston Mayor Michelle Wu.
At the same time, we do not tolerate violence in Boston.
Charges include disorderly conduct, resisting arrest, and disturbing the peace. All plead not guilty. Bail's $10,000 for each.
ABC's Chuck Sievertson reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 281 points. The S&P is down 36. And coming up, warm before the storm, KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Temperatures might be cooling down, but fall camping's just warming up. And so is the country's largest used RV show. That's right. We're back in Utah just in time to outfit you for even more fall fun. October 9th through the 11th, we're packing the parking lot at the shops at Southtown with a huge selection of used RVs to fit any budget. Shop travel trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, motorhomes, and more, all in one lot. We're talking RVs starting as low as $7,995. No payments until 2026 on approved credit. You'll also find new RVs at the show at used pricing, like all remaining new 2024s, and select 2025s marked down for fall discounts. Plus, get hooked up with specially priced hunting trailers just in time for hunting season. Get more details and find the best deals early at UtahUsedRVShow.com. All this plus free admission to the country's largest used RV show. 3 days only, October 9th through the 11th at the shops at Southtown. Open daily at 11 a.m. Sponsored by Bish's RV. See you there. Stock number 75941, subject to prior sale. See dealer for details.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-859-3220. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-859-3220. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-859-3220. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-859-3220 or biglou.com.
At Common Spirit Health, we know that lifelong health and well-being starts with primary care. So we have doctors and providers who see you, hear you, know you, and understand you. Because understanding you means understanding your needs. And that leads to a deeper knowledge of the prevention, wellness, and treatment options that may be best for you. It's primary care that treats your whole family like family. It's primary care with human kindness. Discover all the ways you can find and connect with a primary care provider at mountain.commonspirit.org.
The KSL News Radio Movie Show comes to My Hearing Centers Friday from 10 to 1. But first, discover what My Hearing Centers can do for you. My Hearing Centers uses advanced technology to diagnose and treat hearing loss. These comprehensive evaluations determine the best treatment options. Then enjoy lifetime support with regular check-ins, cleaning, and maintenance. Call My Hearing Centers at 801-701-1629. 801-701-1629 for more details. My Hearing Centers has offices from Ogden to St. George.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Here's Ricky Meese.
We do have good speeds on all the Valley freeways at this time, but we also have the final clearing of a disabled vehicle in Taylorsville. It's at the bottom of the exit ramp from northbound I-215's West Belt at 4700 South. October 11th, Salt Lake City AutoCon. a one-of-a-kind convention by and for autistic adults. Workshops, resources, and community. Get your tickets at autcon.org. Use promo code KSL-FREE. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 82 today and mostly sunny. The clouds move in later this afternoon. We'll see scattered showers tonight and through tomorrow. Right now it's 72 and partly cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
I'm alongside Mara Carabello today. Last week, before we left, you told me you were going to Alabama for the weekend.
Yeah.
And so you missed the biggest rainfall we've had in 151 years here in Salt Lake along the Wasatch Front.
I did. I was here for the hot summer, the biggest and historic rainfall. I was out of town.
Yeah, so I was out during the day and just didn't appreciate because I kept looking at the clouds thinking that it's going to part, they're going to quit, they're going to go. And I didn't realize that we received some parts of the Wasatch Front received over 2 inches of rain. I think Tooele, sort of the northwestern part of Salt Lake County, Rose Park area, that just got slammed. So we're lucky to have with us this morning Emergency Manager Division Chief Tyler Shepard, to tell us what's going on and what things are looking like. Thanks for joining us, Chief.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me.
And can you tell us what things are looking like right now in Rose Park?
Yeah, absolutely. So in Salt Lake City, Rose Park was our heaviest hit area. And as you said, we had 2.5 inches of rain in 14 hours, which not only is an unprecedented amount of water, but it's in a very short time frame. So it overwhelmed that linear retention basin and then the storm drains. And that's what caused a lot of this flooding. The water's since receded, but we have our emergency management crews from the county and the city, as well as public utilities and sustainability, going out and doing damage assessments. I do want to say I want to thank the LDS Church and the Red Cross and the volunteer organizations active in disasters. They've been amazing. So many volunteers going out and helping these residents mitigate pulling damaged sheetrock and carpet and debris and personal items to the curb. So it's been a really, really good collaborative effort. We'll be out there the rest of the week also preparing for this next storm coming in.
So Mayor Mendenhall declared a state of emergency to help with cleanup efforts. What does that trigger? What does that do when the mayor declares a state of emergency?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's states of emergency or a declaration of emergency on a few levels. So real quick, a local city or municipality will declare a local emergency. And then that goes to the county, and the county may or may not declare a county emergency. And then that goes to the state, which can declare a state of emergency, which then goes to the federal government. So right now we have what's called a local declaration of emergency. And it does a few things. First and foremost, it activates mutual aid. So as you can imagine, these disasters require lots of people, lots of resources, and lots of collaboration. So we have people from the state, from the county, from flood control, from public utilities, from stormwater, from fire departments, all working on this disaster and the recovery. So that's the first thing it does. The second thing, it allows for procurement of resources, which essentially means we can go purchase things that we may need outside of our ordinary day-to-day operations. If we need lots of extra sandbags to prepare for the next storm, or we need mitigation tools or heavy machinery, we can go out and purchase those outside of our normal operations. And then the last thing it does is it opens up avenues for state and federal aid. And that's a really big one. As you guys have seen, the recovery process is difficult for people. It's long, it's arduous. People have lost. And so we're trying to find as many avenues for aid as possible. And that's another thing that declaration will do.
Chief, when you have a storm like this, of course, you've got things in place, storm drains, things like that. But at some point, they become overrun. What happens then? I mean, is that when people's homes get flooded? That's when things get completely out of control? And what can you do about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And so on this storm this last weekend, the prediction models were actually fairly low. Like you said, biggest storm in 151 years, and it wasn't predicted to happen. That cell kind of just sat over. So we got sandbags out quickly. But yes, what happens is those systems that run normally, with that amount of water that quickly, it just overwhelmed the whole system. And then the storm water in that area didn't have anywhere to go. It's a low point. It's right next to the canal. And then the water just essentially created a giant basin there. So moving forward, for this weekend, we have low probability of really heavy rains, what we saw this last weekend during the flooding. So that should give a little bit of comfort, but we are going to be super proactive in this. So we've got a couple things happening. We're first and foremost getting weather briefs from the National Weather Service every day to see if any of that changes. Second thing is the pump houses. So the pump houses were during the flood and are currently running continuously to get as much water out of our systems as possible. And then we're going to be staging sandbags in the affected areas. And then as we monitor, we can move sandbags because it's not just that Rose Park area that can be affected. This can happen, throughout the valley. Just depends on where rain hits. So those kind of some of the things that we're doing now proactively, and the reason why flooding happens in the first place.
So how much of this is a byproduct of, as you suggest, you're in a geographical area that just gets pounded, and how much does this have to do with how well your city or county or whomever has maintained your infrastructure? So what part can be infrastructure failure? What is just Mother Nature?
Absolutely. And we have seen floods, in different parts of the country and in Utah and even in Salt Lake in the past where it has been an infrastructure failure, a clog in the system or a blockage or a lack of capacity. And that's not really what happened here. It was kind of, for lack of a better word, a perfect storm of amount of water really fast in a low-lying area. That amount of water, like you said, we haven't seen in forever, 150 years. I'm surprised that the flooding was isolated to such a small area, to be honest with you. You don't build capacities that big. You just can't do it on an infrastructure level. We have hazard risk, right? We live in a wildfire area. Sometimes we have potential for flooding. We do everything we can to mitigate that within the scope of what we can actually do. But that retention basin there specifically, too, it takes water off from the west side as well as the east side of I-215. So think of the airport, all of that going down into an area. And normally it operates fine, but with it happening so fast, that's where it became overwhelmed.
And, Chief, we are expecting some rain this weekend. Are there areas such as Rose Park and Tooele that are still reeling a little bit from last weekend, such that some amount of rain, even a modest amount, could put them in danger again of flooding?
Yeah, we understand that people are nervous about this upcoming storm. No, right now, the way things look, and if the prediction models hold out, which we hope they will, everything looks good. That retention basin is pretty much empty. The pumps have been running. We're back to a decent amount of capacity for storm water. With that being said, we are actually out in these neighborhoods. We've been out in these neighborhoods this week. We'll be out there the rest of the week and through the storm, just monitoring those areas. That's public utilities and emergency management. And then we're going to be pre-staging sandbags in these specific affected areas. So hopefully those residents can come out, can talk with us. We can give them updates on weather briefs, what it looks like, and then we can actually see the storm unfold and be ready to go to deploy as many resources as we can.
We don't have much time left, but I have a quick future-looking question. How much impact is it as we continue to build and that we hardscape and we have houses instead of fields? Are we going to see more flooding because there's less area for water to go naturally?
That's a good question, and yeah, as you hardscape, it does add to the runoff. But no, I don't think we're going to see increased flooding. We've got a pretty good mitigation plan with Salt Lake City and Salt Lake County and County Flood Control and Salt Lake City Public Utilities. I think are doing a good job of preparing for that future growth. So I think moving forward, we can't, obviously mitigate all hazards, but I think the city's in a good position.
Thank you, Tyler. That was Emergency Manager Division Chief Tyler Shepard joining us. And when we come back, we're going to talk about something that
highly
Mara has
controversial.
got me worked up about here. Trunk or treat and the dangers of trunk or treat. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Rivalry Week is here, and KSL News Radio has your tickets to this year's BYU-Utah game. Starting Tuesday, tune in every hour for a Cougar keyword. When you hear it, text it to 57500 for your chance to win. We'll pick a new winner each day, so the more Cougar keywords you catch, the greater chance you have to win. Find details and sweepstakes rules at KSLNewsRadio.com. KSL News Radio, the legacy home of BYU football.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Brad's day is off to a slow start. So he heads to AutoZone, where batteries are as low as $89.99. Sammy, a local AutoZoner, tests his battery for free. Looks like he just needs a charge. And Sammy does that for free too. In no time at all, Brad is back on the road, ready to finish the day strong. Free battery testing and charging at every store. No hassles, just help.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Hey guys, it's Woodrow from Mint Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with ED? Well, you are not alone, and now there's a real solution that treats the root cause, not just the symptoms. Introducing our Trifecta approach, a breakthrough combination of acoustic wave therapy, hormone replacement, and cryotherapy, all designed to restore blood flow, boost performance, and rebalance your hormones. Whether it's ED or hormonal imbalance, if you're ready to reignite your love life, this treatment helps bring back your energy, your drive, and your confidence. And right now, when you call, you'll receive a free consultation, a blood flow ultrasound, and an intimacy gift. That's a $650 value, absolutely free. And here's the bonus. The next 20 callers will also receive a 5-night stay at a luxury resort in Hawaii just for taking the first step. But you must call now. With 2 convenient locations in Layton and Sandy, help is closer than you think. Call 801-804-8000 now. That's 801-804-8000. Mint Medical Clinic. We'll get you back to mint condition.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Deer Valley Resort is on track to deliver one of the largest ski resort expansions in history for the upcoming ski season. Debuting 7 new chairlifts, including the East Village Express, a 10-passenger gondola. Director of Communications, Emily Summers, joins us with more.
At Deer Valley, our Expanded Excellence Initiative is transforming the resort and setting the stage for our most exciting season yet. This multi-year vision is redefining the mountain experience and comes to life in a big way this winter. Since December of last year, we've added 10 new lifts and nearly 100 new ski runs, more than doubling our skiable terrain. Our skiers will now enjoy 31 lifts, over 200 ski runs, and 4,300 acres of adventure, highlighted by the new 10-passenger gondola connecting Deer Valley East Village to the new Park Peak at the heart of Deer Valley. A new fully automated snowmaking system ensures reliable coverage across the mountain, while 1,200 new day skier parking spaces have been added at the Deer Valley East Village, making it easier than ever to get on the slopes. We're also thrilled to celebrate the start of our 45th ski season with exclusive passholder days on November 29th and 30th, leading into public opening day on Monday, December 1st.
With new lifts, expanded terrain, upgraded infrastructure, and improved parking, Deer Valley is gearing up for an incredible season. To learn more about these upgrades or purchase passes, visit deervalley.com. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Inside Sources.
I'm back with Mara Carabello. Mara, have you ever done a trunk or treat?
I've refused. No, of course not. I'm not that kind of person. I mean, we've had a great show, but I want to end on some heavy controversy.
Okay. What's that?
As we head into, October is arguably the best month of the year. The weather's great. There's a lot of things to do.
True
and
story.
It closes out with a holiday that you can celebrate in so many different ways. You know,
Right.
You can do Dia de los Muertos, you can do trick or treat. But one of the things I can't abide, so I'm gonna draw a hard line, is trunk or treat. So you asked in the segment, and we decided we would have this conversation on the air. You said, "Tell me what is trunk or treat,"
Right.
which I just clutched my pearls and thought, "What?" So trunk or treat, or otherwise the demise of our children, as I like to call it, is where you gather in a parking lot in your neighborhood and you pull up your cars. Now, granted, you decorate the back of your car. The decorations are spectacular. And let me first say, the intent is good. So I don't want to vilify those intentions. But it is the laziest darn thing you can ever see. You get these cute little goblins and ghosts, and they're in a parking lot, and they have to walk no more than, 3 feet to get their next
so
little
you don't get the whole
treat.
trick or treat. You just
They're
walk.
not walking up the hills. They're not running. They're not working for this carbohydrate.
So is there some decoration that you can do to a trunk of a car?
I've seen quite extraordinary decorations.
I mean, I could see if you have a minivan or a truck or something, you could decorate it. But
Oh no, Greg, what you can do. I'm telling you, you and your wife this year, just drive around, you'll see a bunch. The other thing, I'm gonna keep going with my umbrage. Trunk or treat is often not found on the 31st. We're so lazy, we need to actually just now schedule arbitrarily Halloween. So I'm just telling, I know I'm name calling right now, but I'm just telling you, we schedule this when we find it most convenient, and then we bring our children and ask them to walk 2 or 3 feet in between being
each
loaded
car.
up. I think I'm firmly against it. One, we don't need that amount of candy. 2, there are other safe places if safety is your concern. But 3, meet your neighbors. Come on, meet your neighbors. Go knock on the doors. Go to another neighborhood. Celebrate the walking. Celebrate getting out into a cold night.
So
and
let's do the trunk
refusing
or
to put
treat
your
up
coat
at,
on.
up at the Rice Eccles Stadium. You just have the cars go all the way
One
around it,
giant-
and you got to go. You have to go 100 yards.
So you get the cardio
and,
in
yeah,
at
and
least
yeah,
there.
and you can run trunk or treat.
Oh my goodness!
by running.
It is in my craw. I have never been
Okay.
a trunk or treat fan. I think you should have to work a little harder for your treats.
That I always think the same thing about condominium complexes and stuff, where you can
Too
just
easy?
or apartment buildings where you just go to the elevator, you go up to the floor, and you hit everyone. I'll tell you this though, I've noticed, and maybe it's just my community where I live up in the Ogden Valley, we just don't get many kids up there.
We don't get as many kids either, but I'm of course my theme for the day, blaming it on trunk or treat, blaming it on the carnivals and festivals. I say bring back door to door.
I do too. It's great. I love
early.
it. You go buy candy and then nobody shows up.
I know,
I have
we've
to eat
had
it myself.
that. So I'll out myself. I have, if you want to come to my house, I am married to the former police chief, and this man believes very strongly in full-size candy bars. I just will let you know that that's one of the things he believes most in. So not only do we decorate at the front door, but we use full-size candy bars to do it. So.
That costs you a little bit, especially if you get a whole bunch of people that show up.
Yeah, one other hot topic, Greg, I want to talk about is this article I read. I'm staying with my Halloween theme.
There you go.
I read a Newsweek article. This shocked me, but according to Newsweek, strawberry bonbons, the classic grandma candy, are making a comeback. They were up 600% last year. And apparently, our young friends are wild for strawberry bonbons.
That's on my list of do not eat, and if you do, you will regret it within minutes.
I find that a remarkable statement that anyone would be on the hunt for a strawberry bonbon.
So what are the popular candies?
Well, so according to this, where there's a nostalgic comeback where Bit of Honey, Necco wafers, and Dum Dums have all seen really like over 100% increase.
That's all nostalgia because none of those are good.
No,
so that's
no,
just like
it's all packaging,
right? Yeah,
and then you toss that stuff,
Right.
or you let it sit on your counter for 6 or 7 months.
Right.
So again, according to this Newsweek article, and I'm just gonna keep throwing down. Apparently, according to this, they say Utah's favorite candy is Sweet Tarts.
No,
That's what it says.
that's weak.
It's so weak. Our friends to the West in Nevada and California, they have the good sense to have Snickers, but
Yeah,
we
there you
don't.
go.
I know
Sweet
that.
Tarts.
And there's some blocks that are still holding down what is historically the number one, which is Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
There you go. What's your least favorite?
My least favorite?
Yeah.
Anything like a Dum Dum or a hard candy. I'm not a hard candy gal. I think circus peanuts. I don't think those are. I don't think those are real. Well, none of this is real food, but circus peanuts. Nobody knows what's in it. Anything that can survive in your car under your seat for a while. So that includes McDonald's French fries.
Right.
But those aren't mine. I'm a chocolate gal.
Well, I think that there must have been something in my childhood that I got sick once on candy corn. I don't remember the event.
Oh, wow.
All I know is I cannot stand that candy. And I'll eat anything. My wife will tell you, I'll eat anything, but I cannot even smell candy corn. There's something about that food that makes me nauseous.
That's interesting.
So I must have had a bad event at one point in my life with candy corn.
And you still get those flashbacks.
Yeah. Yes.
So will you
Exactly.
prepare for Halloween at your house?
My wife does. We do. You have to do that. I mean, there's kids in our neighborhood, and you don't want to be the house that looks goofy. So you put a few things out front, and you go buy some candy in case somebody shows up. And if they do, you give them a bunch. And I like the kids. I always like to interact with them and talk to them about their costumes and whatnot, even though they're in a hurry, like you say, to get to the next house.
Got to get the houses.
Yeah, I like to engage the kids.
So here's also an interesting up-and-comer. So according to DoorDash, from August through early September of 2025, they have seen a surge in Hershey's cookies and cream being ordered in the bulk Halloween section. That kind of surprises me. I don't know. That surprises me. Also still on the list, you've got M&M's and the classic Hershey milk chocolate bar. I just wanted to make sure those got out there that we're still sane in some
We're still
parts.
doing some things right.
We're
Okay,
still
so
doing
you
some things
told us your least favorite. What's your most favorite?
Ooh, my grandma always told me that Snickers was the best because it had protein. So I love any logic stream that tells me that candy bars are healthy. So I'm going to stick with Snickers because it has protein, you know?
There you go. Yeah, with nuts. Yeah, there you go. Well,
how about what's your favorite?
Well, so this is weird, but I do not like chocolate. I cannot stand chocolate.
Really?
I don't
on
like
any
chocolate.
No chocolate cake?
No.
Oh, are you one of those people when dessert comes you can take a pass?
Yes.
Oh, come on.
But my favorite candy is a frozen, like a block Snickers bar.
Oh.
I can eat chocolate like those toppers that they used to put the ice cream in, that hard chocolate. If chocolate is frozen and hard, I like it, but I can't eat mushy chocolate.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to try something. So we're going to give a shout out to a local candy company, Sweets Chocolate. They make chocolate covered cinnamon bears.
No, you.
Greg, just stay with me. Stay with me. Put those bad boys in the freezer.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Eating a cinnamon bear when it's frozen solid?
It's delicious.
Yeah, until your teeth crack.
No. There's nothing but delight. Just take your cinnamon bears. Stop by Maverick, another great Utah store, and throw those cinnamon bears, chocolate covered cinnamon bears. In the freezer.
The worst of both worlds.
It's a taste
But
treat.
you freeze it. Yeah, I'm going to try that. That's what we'll do. Well, so you're going to get ready for Halloween. We're still a couple weeks out, but you can't start preparing and thinking about it soon enough. I notice when I go to the stores now, there's all kinds of Halloween decor things out.
I feel like we're even over Halloween in the decor section. We're already on Thanksgiving.
Really...
I'll rant about that some other time. How we're just too far ahead in our decoration season.
Hey, I need to give a shout out to Mara Carabello for bailing us out again this week. My co-host Holly Richardson has been wonderful, but she took a break. She took a 2-week break, and I thought to myself, there's no way I can do this show for 2 weeks alone. So you've been wonderful.
It's been terrific. I've enjoyed it.
We've talked about the government shutdown today on our program, and if you'd like to learn more, you can stick around for the latest with Maria Shilaos. Midday with Maria Shilaos is up next. Stay with us on KSL News Radio.
KSL KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is